welcomed when you came in tonight. We're going to call this meeting to order. It's exactly 7 p.m. on May 16th, 2023. This is the regular City Commission meeting for the City of Ormond Beach, and our Leisure Services Director, Robert Carolyn, and our Deputy Public Works Director, Kevin Gray, served as greeters this evening. I'd like to introduce the folks that are sitting up in front of you. To my right, your left, our recording secretary, Taylor Lockhart. City Clerk, Susan Dodderis. Commissioner from Zone 1, Lori Tolland.
Welcome, everyone.
Commissioner from Zone 2, Travis Sargent.
Good evening, everyone.
To my left and your right, Commissioner from Zone 3, Susan Persis.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome.
Our Deputy Mayor and Zone 4 Commissioner Harold Briley.
Good evening, everyone.
City Manager Joyce Shanahan. Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley. City Attorney Randy Hayes. And for those of you listening online, I'm Mayor Bill Partington. Also, way to my left and way to your right, we have the Chiefs, Police Chief Jesse Godfrey, and Fire Chief Howard Bailey with us this evening. At this time, if you would, please silence your cell phones and rise for the invocation given tonight by Evangelist John J.S. Seelan from Bethel Ministries, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. King David says these few words, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. He forgives all your iniquities. He heals all your diseases. He redeems your life from destruction. He crowns you with loving kindness and tender mercies. He satisfies your mouth with good things, so that your youth is renewed like the eagles." Father God, we thank you for our city, the city of Ormond Beach, and all these precious leaders, and all of the inhabitants of the city. We humble ourselves before you to ask you to wisely guide us, especially these leaders, and protect all of us by the precious blood of your Son. And thank you, Lord. Lead us and guide us into truth, righteousness, and peace, joy, safety, and abundance. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Some good stuff this evening, and we'll start with the Kiwanis Reads program. If I can have our Kiwanis folks come on up. This is really an amazing program that Kiwanis has been doing for the last couple of years, and so it's my honor to present a proclamation to them. Whereas Kiwanis is a global organization with over 7,300 clubs across 85 nations. Kiwanis consists of volunteers dedicated to changing the world, one child and one community at a time. The organization believes that no problem is too big or too small, including that of ensuring child literacy. And whereas research shows that children who do not read in the summer can lose 2 to 3 months of reading development, and children that read 4 or more books over the summer perform better on reading comprehension tests in the fall than their peers who read 1 or no books over the summer. And whereas the Kiwanis Club of Ormond Beach hosts multiple projects throughout the year, with most of them focusing on helping children learn to read, the Kiwanis Club's signature project is Kiwanis Reads, Backers for Books. The award-winning program's 3 pillars include building home libraries, building classroom libraries, and building a culture of independent reading across Ormond Beach. And whereas Kiwanis Reads challenges students to read a minimum of 20 minutes a day over the summer break, and whereas each year the Kiwanis Club sponsors over 300 students from Ormond Beach Elementary School through the summer program. Since 2019, Ormond Beach Elementary School has finished top 10 in the state of Florida in minutes read. And whereas to sustain the program and continue providing books to students all year long, the Kiwanis Club partners with GiveBacks to power Backers for Books. GiveBacks is a free app that donates funds for books when Kiwanis Reads backers, consumers, dine and shop at hundreds of local restaurants and online retailers. Kiwanis Reads donates a new book to an Ormond Beach Elementary student for every new backer. Great things happen when you give a child a chance to learn, experience, dream, and succeed. Now, therefore, I, Bill Partington, based on all of that, do hereby declare May 22nd, 2023 as the kickoff of Kiwanis Reads in the city of Ormond Beach and urge all residents to engage in activities that aim to promote ongoing literacy support for elementary age school children. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, City Commission. Oh, are you going to get a picture of me too? That I wouldn't come here. My words that if you want to help buy a book for a child right now, all you got to do is get your cell phones out when it's off airplane mode and hit the QR code, and these wonderful professionals on my right from Ormond Beach Elementary School will be able to increase and promote and support and nurture reading in their school and the rest of Ormond Beach as well. So I think I said enough, Mayor, unless you want me to keep talking. Can I give you the mic?
Absolutely. Come on over this way.
If I didn't say this is your t-shirt and you have your QR code on the back. And I know you'll treasure it. You might even go to bed with that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is Kristen Miller here? Are you ready to be promoted? Come on up and bring your team with you. The Civil Air Patrol, acting upon the recommendation of the squadron commander, has placed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, integrity, and abilities of Captain Kristen L. Miller. In view of these special qualities and her demonstrated potential to serve in the higher grade, Captain Miller is promoted to the permanent grade of Major, United States Air Force Auxiliary, effective March 14th, 2023, by order of the National Headquarters, Civil Air Patrol.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce, go ahead. Mayor? Thank you, and I'd like to introduce our group commander. All the squadrons are under a groups work for the wing commander. Our group commander is Larry Spangler. He's driven all the way over from Ocala to attend this event this evening. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
The reason that we do what we do and the reason we're here and I drove from here is sitting in these 3 rows right here. It's about these cadets. It's about the kids and the impact that we can have on our community. We need more leaders to take these folks' place as they move on. We need somebody to step in, and our role and responsibility is to teach, to coach, train, and mentor.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to turn it over to Kristen now because she kind of headed up these programs. She is my deputy commander for cadets. In other words, she runs a cadet program. I oversee the squadron for both the seniors and the cadets. Actually, she has the easier job. It's harder running the cadet than seniors, but if you don't know what we do, Civil Air Patrol is an auxiliary of the Air Force. Most of us are ex-Air Force officers. I'm a retired Air Force officer. We come back, we give back to the program, we get involved with CAP, we work with these cadets. CAP has kind of a 3-pronged program. Search and rescue, we do about 90% of the inland search when aircraft or children or dogs or cats or whatever go missing. We also do the cadet training program. Aerospace education is a big part of that, and the aerospace education program too. A lot of programs that we get involved with. We're going to go over a couple of them real tonight because we had great participation for some of the vendors in the city of Orem Beach and in the Volusia County area. So I'm going to let Kristen talk about that.
Good evening, everyone. I guess we'll start off with one of the first things that we started to work on in training when the unit got going this year in January was emergency services. That's what one of our main missions is, to train to be able to be prepared to respond to the community if there's a need. So we decided that one of the first things we needed to do was work on training CPR and first aid so that if our young people were involved in a situation, whether it's a hurricane or something that needs to be responded to, they need to know how to respond and what to expect. We were very, very lucky to have a wonderful instructor. If she could please come up. Jerry Lynn Diaz. Can you please come up? All of them? And I'd also like to ask Jenny Copen to come up, Jeff Diaz, and another very wonderful active participant who I don't believe made it tonight is the Ormond Beach Police Department DARE officer, Andy Rossi. These folks, not only did they bring the education and the expertise for training, they did it at an affordable rate for these young people to be able to learn these skills. We did a full CPR training, AED training, and first aid, and not only that, with the assistance of our DARE officer. Are you here? Fantastic. We're glad you're here. Our DARE officer that assisted us, we actually did live scenes. So we set up rescue scenes where they had lights and sirens. Andy came running in. We've got a drowning victim. You got to come out, and nobody knew what was going on. They all had to act and respond and get out into the field and participate, which is what they need to understand if we're called to assist. Even these young people, they need to be aware what they're going to be faced with. So we'd like to give them a taste of some of those things. So I cannot thank you enough for everything that you did and all your expertise that all of you all brought to the stage. So thank you very much for what you did for our young people in this community. We have some certificates of appreciation for our Jerry Lynn. Thank you very much for all you did. Thank you for all your hard work and what you did. And Officer Ross, you're looking a little different today, but we appreciate you as well. Thank you very much, and you really did. You brought a great program. We're hoping to do it again.
And Captain, I want to tell you, make sure you thank the officer. You know, I think the police department doesn't get as many thanks as they really should for all the work you folks do and the dangers you take. And your officer was phenomenal. He's helped us not with this program, but with numerous other programs. And we did a big drug thing with the children in the beginning of the year, and we did it last year, and he's been phenomenal in that program to help us. And they've made a friend with him. So I think that's really important, that we have these young people that know they're police officers and are friendly with them. So thank you again.
So once that program was finished, we decided to move on to another direction that the program has. We work with a group of young people that we don't want them to get bored. We don't need classrooms and boring lectures and boring things like that. So one of the cadets brought a suggestion to me. He wanted to work on what we call a high adventure activity, which the program is allowed to do 2 a year by national. And so Cadet David Klein, Cadet Airman First Class, can you please stand up? This young man sent me an email and requested that we do a marksmanship program, which is allowed under the high adventure activity. So I did some research and made a lot of phone calls, and on the request of this young person, we asked to see if there were any other people that were interested, and there were. We were lucky enough to find an instructor, Sherry Myers. Will you please come forward? Not only did this young lady come forward, she is very highly recommended in our community throughout every gun range, gun store, anything to do with anything with outdoors and a gun. Everybody knows her, and she's very well received. She and I spoke several times, and she seemed to take to heart that this was a good program. We have a world that we live in that is very aggressive, and there's lots of things that are changing and going on, and we felt that bringing an education to these young people to protect them and let them understand what's out there, how to manage themselves, how to stay safe was important. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit about what you taught in the NRA realm to these young people and how much we appreciate it.
Well, I was delighted to be asked to be part of this program. I didn't exactly know everything that was needed for this specific marksmanship program, but I know NRA and the basic pistol class that was actually part of what I gave to the cadets. It was an 8-hour program, and I think we actually went over that, which was, fantastic for me to have that time with the cadets. I'm a huge advocate for gun safety. I began my journey with that starting at the age of 4. Huge responsibility when it comes to firearms. And for me to be able to participate in that training of these cadets, again, was an honor. So first and foremost, it's all about gun safety, and then it's about the responsibility and having a correct mindset when it comes to our Second Amendment right. And all of these cadets did just fantastic, and I'm so proud of all of them. So.
We also had, along with Sherry, who I will say actually donated her time to instruct not only the 12 cadets that actually completed the program, but the other cadets that were there, maybe they had other things that could go, but they weren't able to complete the entire program. And many of those cadets actually came up to me and said they didn't realize what the Second Amendment meant until they heard her talk about it. So she not only brought them understanding about pistols and safety, she also educated them about the Second Amendment rights. We also have several other people that were wonderful in our community. We want to recognize Derek George of Gunfire Incorporated. If you can please come up, sir. With the help of Gunfire Incorporated, he was able to provide us with a significant discount on ear protection and eye protection and weapons that we were able to use to complete this program. We couldn't have done it without you. We'd also like to bring up Adam Doliner of Hot Shots Range. Is Adam here? Adam didn't make it. Okay, well, Adam of Hot Shots Shooting Range, which is down on Nova, and I think it's Daytona, or is it Ormond? It's close. Holly Hill. Holly Hill. Actually donated the range time to us. We were going to use the Ormond Beach Police Department range, but they were having some repair work done, so we had to scramble to get it. And I just wanted to recognize that Hot Shot stepped right up, and with 2 days' notice, gave us a half a day at the range, which was fabulous. So thank you to them. Kevin Walker and Jerry Walker of K&G Aviation donated all of the ammunition for the training, which totaled $300 for this program for the cadets to be able to participate. Colonel Sirgine, United States Air Force, retired. Can you please come forward, sir? He is here. I saw him. Colonel, we want to thank you. This was our range safety officer. Thank you for your assistance, sir. Always a pleasure. Can you say anything?
Just a quick word. Watching these kids learn the importance of gun safety is vital to us and to the community. And I appreciate Sherry and Joe and y'all doing all of this and getting it put together. And I thank you for letting me participate.
Thank you. And again, his time was donated as well as range officer. Lieutenant Anthony Cannavello, please come forward, sir. Lieutenant Cannavello was also our safety officer on the range. As we've spoken many times, safety is first, most, and foremost in this program. Thank you, sir, for your help. And that pretty much was our program with shooting. So do we want to dismiss them and then we'll call cadets up? Okay. Thank you very much for all of your time and all of your information and your education. Thank you so much.
The only thing with this program is obviously it's an expensive program, and a lot of the families and parents can't share a lot of these costs. So by having all these agencies step up and do what they did made the program very possible. And I think we're probably the first unit in the state of Florida that has done handgun qualification training. They do it in encampments at the military bases. They use rifles. Handguns are a little more difficult, and we were able to accomplish it all at a very minimal cost. So, and we've got it set up so this is an ongoing program because there's 5 levels with the NRA, right? And we're going to take them to the next few levels. And we have some real sharpshooters. They were 30 feet, everything in the circle. So they're going to be stepping up and doing the next level.
So if we can please have the following cadets come forward. Cadet Master Sergeant Clifton Cook. Cadet Staff Sergeant David Klein. Cadet Airman Sophia Carmichael. Cadet Senior Airman Dominic Carmichael. Cadet Airman First Class Matthew Wickham. Cadet Airman Cynthia Gunn. Cadet Chief Master Sergeant Andrew Marsal. Cadet Chief Master Sergeant Neil Klein. Cadet Airman Tristan Carmichael. Do you have their certificates? The completion of this particular program, the marksmanship program, actually allows them to wear a marksmanship badge. It is the only badge that they're allowed to wear legally on regulations in the Civil Air Patrol on their full blues uniform. They're not allowed to wear it any other time, and they're not allowed to wear it when they turn into senior members and grow up. But as cadets, they can actually officially wear it on their uniform.
Major Miller, will you have them scoot down so we can get a picture with them?
The young people you see up here ranging from age 12 years old up to 18, 19. I have 3 older cadets, and 2 are in the room now, one's not, that are going to probably this year test for the final award in this cadet program called the Cara Spots Award. That award, along with doing really well in school, which they do, will be presented by a congressman or a senator, and that's usually the opening door for one of the Air Force Academy or the Naval Academy. We sent a young lady last June who went through this program. I knew her when she was 12 years old. She came in very quiet. She went out like a lion. She's in the Naval Academy now. She's going to be an F-18 pilot and fly off a ship. So that's where these young people are going, for the good majority of them. So it's a really good program. So if you have young people, grandparents have young people that are interested, come see us. We're at Ormond Beach. We're right now going through remodeling our facility, thanks to the city, and we're going to have an open house on that here probably in August when we get done, so you can see what we've done out there. So we thank you for your time.
Lieutenant Colonel, we appreciate all you do. Ormond Beach is very proud to have such an active and successful Civil Air Patrol unit in our city, and it doesn't happen without caring, committed individuals like yourself that take the time to make sure all the different elements are in place. So between you and now Major Miller and Stephen kind of coordinating out there, we're excited for you. Lots of great things to come. Thank you. Yep. All right, and now I think I might have gone out of order, but sorry about that. Now we are going to recognize the Mayor's Health and Fitness Challenge Awards. Tonight we present the winners of the 2023 Mayor's Health and Fitness Challenge. The City of Ormond Beach has challenged employees and residents since 2013, and the Mayor's Challenge is a public-private partnership to bring the community together to improve the health of Ormond Beach residents and staff. This year's challenge ran from February 11th to April 8th, 2023, and you can't do programs like this without quality sponsors, and we'd like to thank our sponsors, 32 local partners this year supporting the 2023 Mayor's Challenge. Our champion sponsors, Advent Health Daytona Beach, Florida Healthcare Plans, Revive Fitness and Lifestyle. Our gold sponsor, Halifax Health. Silver sponsor, Prime Hydration and Wellness. Our bronze sponsors, After Body Meals, Elite Therapeutics Body and Skincare, and Michelle Sashini. Thank you to all our sponsors. Now to the challengers and winners, and if you're here when I call up your name, if you'll come up front so we can get a picture with you and the commission. The winners each receive $125, and the winners from each age group are, that's $125 cold, hard cash, actually. So to kind of acknowledge the effort and the fact that you were the top of your age group as far as the different criteria for success in the challenge. So age group 18 to 29, Zach Stoner and Carly McKinney. (30 to 39, Justin Sword. 50 to 59, Sam West. 60 to 69, Jeff Massey and Terry Hester. audience remarks tonight with Debbie Kruk Forrester from Orman Strong.
Hello, Debbie Kruk Forrester here, Commander of Orman Strong, inviting everybody on the council and our community to the one-year anniversary of the Veterans Museum and Education Center. It'll be June 3rd from 11 to 1 p.m. What ties us to this is the first thing started here, right in the hall. That's where it started. Number two, our group, Orman Strong, paid the first 20 years rent on their new location, which is 302 Vermont Avenue, Daytona Beach, Florida. We did this because our organization paid the 20 years rent because we know the value of honoring American veterans of the armed forces of the United States through collection, documentation, interpretation, and presentation of tangible artifacts and personal stories of the men and women who served our country. Number three, we're going to give commemorative medallions for every military veteran and first responder who attends the event. We're inviting all of you. I'd like to also have you come out on Memorial Day at the casements and honor everybody for Memorial Day. I'm done.
Awesome.
Orman Strong out.
Thank you. Appreciate all you do, Debbie. Next is Eva Knippel. Hopefully I said that right.
Hello, my name is Eva Knippel, and we live up in Orman Terrace, I think it's called, the area up here. We live between Melrose and Wilmette, right on North Richwood Avenue. There is a lot of traffic going on there and a lot of speed. That's what we would like to have something dealt with, so, you know, it's a little safer to walk around there. A lot of people might have seen me already. I'm out walking my dogs all the time. And if something can be done with the crosswalks, they need to be repainted. People in cars don't see them. I've been flicked off many, many times walking across with my dogs, and it's very uncomfortable. It's very scary, especially in the mornings and afternoons with middle school parents and buses going there. Okay, so, and signs too by the crosswalks. That would be very nice, like there is in a lot of other places. And four-way stop, possible, Melrose and Richwood. There is almost daily, there is accidents. Not maybe accidents, but how do you say it? Almost accidents. And then if you could have some more speed traps on North Richwood, so people really realize that they need to slow down. And it's 25, and a lot of people drive 45, 50 there. I mean, it's like a racetrack. Time goes. Melrose Park, if there could be a sign that people should have the dogs leashed down there. We see people, I go down there a lot, and other neighbors goes down there. And then a crosswalk too from across Beach Street with signs. We talked about that, Travis. And another thing there about that, the people that are building right there on the south side of the Melrose Park, they use that parking. There's no parking available for other people who comes, who wants there. And what else was this? A crosswalk over Beach Street, Melrose. Rosewood is a little park too, and Dix is a little park. So it would be nice to have a crosswalk with signs there too, so you can walk across there without being run over. Thank you much.
Thank you. Judy Dragon.
I live on Wilmette Avenue and just wanted to kind of continue with her conversation. We recently met with Travis. It was so nice to sit down with some people in our neighborhood and talk about concerns that we have. And one of mine is I live 4 houses off beach on Wilmette, so I'm on that end. And most of the traffic turning onto our street, which is a very, very busy street because of the traffic light, of course. We have no speed breakers. And they continue to put speed breakers around us, which force more and more traffic onto our street because there aren't any. So the people are making the turn onto our street, basically going 40 miles an hour. They don't slow down because they have to go up a small incline to the first stop sign. So it's speed, 40 to 50, and stop, and then it's just over and over and over to get through our neighborhood. And the lady across the street from me is 88 years old. She still drives. She's amazing. And every time she goes to back out of her driveway and I see her doing it, my heart stops because it's scary. And almost every person on my end of the street, I'm 72, are my age or older. We all have to back out of our driveways, and we're faced with people going behind us when we're halfway out of the street, blowing at us because we're trying to do it. And the speed is just excessive. It creates so much noise, and I just wondered, can we do something? Would petitions help? Who could help us with this? So, thank you for all of your time that you all give, and I really appreciate it. And Travis, thank you.
We are on the approval of minutes. The minutes have been sent to the commission for review, also posted to the city's website. Any additions, deletions, or corrections, commission?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval.
Second?
These are the May 2nd, 2023. Motioned and seconded. All those in favor of approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and we'll show those passing unanimously. The following items are community redevelopment items. The City Commission serves as the community redevelopment agency of the city and must review these items and make a recommendation as the CRA. Therefore, at this time, we will recess the City Commission meeting and call the CRA meeting to order. I will open the public hearings and ask our secretary to read 7A.
Resolution number 2023-89, a resolution of the City Commission, also acting as a community redevelopment agency of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, accepting a proposal from Zev Cohen and Associates, Inc. to provide construction administration services regarding the Granada Boulevard Streetscape Banding Project, authorizing the execution of a work authorization thereto, and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2023-89, read by title only.
Thank you. I don't have any cards on this one.
I move approval of resolution number 2023-89.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in, well, is there any discussion? Let me ask that. No. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We'll show that passing unanimously as a recommendation to the City Commission from the CRA. We'll close the public hearings and reconvene the City Commission meeting at this time. We are on consent agenda. Commission, does any member wish to pull any items from the consent agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, 8L.
I move approval minus 8L.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, may I also pull 7F for removal from the vote tonight? We'll bring that back to you at a different time.
8F.
Oh, 8F.
8F, okay.
8 and 7. I move approval minus 7 and 8.
8L and 8F.
Oh, 8L and 8F.
Second.
All right. Moved and seconded. Please call the vote.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 8L.
Disposition item titled Auto Renewal Yellowstone Landscape Agreement for Grounds Maintenance.
And just need a motion and a second
So
for
moved.
discussion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Commissioner Sargent.
Yellowstone does an outstanding job with our landscape. I pulled this contract dates back to 2012 when the original cost was just under 1.1 million. This renewal's coming in at 1.8. That's about a 58% increase over 11 years. Just wondering if we've ever looked at using some jail inmates to do some of these tasks to potentially save the city some money. I don't know if that's an option.
Mr. Mayor, first of all, I'd like to point out that since the initial time that we hired Yellowstone, we have added many different facilities and many different parks. And I don't know if Robert Carolyn can speak to that piece of it. We have not really looked at hiring inmates, but I don't believe the jail does that any longer. Holly Hill used to use inmates in the right-of-way, and the jail no longer allows those to be hired out. And if you would like Robert to clarify.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
I just have three other comments on this. When I pulled the bid from 2012, three things that I'd like to point out that hopefully we can do a little bit better on. Blowing of debris and turf, grass cuttings. The grass cuttings and organic debris shall shall not be blown into the roadway or disposed of in the storm sewer drains. Just if we can emphasize not to be doing that. Weeding of landscape planting beds. I had 2 complaints this week of the weeds right back out here. So that's just another thing. And the last thing, don't laugh.
I'm laughing.
Landscape planting bed mulching. The contractor will properly prepare all planting beds by cutting new bed edges, rake out old or removing excess mulch. As y'all know from the last meeting, that's something that I think we need to work on. We approved $32,000 for more mulch, hopefully not to wash away into the stormwater. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else? Please call the vote on 8L.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes, and just so we're clear, 8F was pulled by staff and will be brought back at a later meeting. Okay. Now would be the appropriate time if any commissioners wish to comment on any of the consent agenda items.
I would like to make a comment concerning the mulch and what Commissioner Sargent just said. I really am grateful that you read the contract and to remove some of the mulch before you lay. That is important, because when you do keep layering on top, not only are you being wasteful, it does hurt plants when it gets too deep. So thank you for that.
Mr. Mayor, that was one of the things I think I mentioned last meeting too, is that if they can just take some of that out and remove it, because it's just, it doesn't decompose like, other natural vegetation, so it's just a thought.
Great. Thank you all. All right, we are on public hearings, and I will open the public hearings and ask the clerk to read 9A.
Ordinance number 2023-24, an ordinance annexing 2 parcels of real property into the city of Ormond Beach, said property located at 860 Hull Road, Volusia County parcel number 4238-01-14-0020, and 1399 Hull Trail, Volusia County parcel number 4238-01-16-0010, setting forth zoning privileges and obligations regarding the property, redefining the territorial boundaries of the city of Ormond Beach to include the property, redesignating the boundaries of Zone 1 of the city of Ormond Beach to include the property, providing for transmission, providing for severability, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2023-24, read by title only.
Thank you. I don't have any, well, take that back. I do have one card for 9A, which is the applicant if needed. It is a second reading. Does anyone need to hear either from the applicant or from our planning director at this time? If not, just need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move approval. Go ahead. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 9B.
Ordinance number 2023-09, an ordinance amending paragraph C, official zoning map of section 2-01, established of Article 1, establishment of zoning districts, and official zoning map of Chapter 2, district and general regulations of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code by amending the official zoning map to rezone 2 parcels of real property consisting of approximately 19.62 acres located at 36 North Timber Creek Road, Volusia County parcel number 4125-00-00-0221, and 2011 West Granada Boulevard, Volusia County, parcel number 4125-00-00-0243. From Volusia County RC Resource Corridor, Volusia County A-2, Agriculture, and Ormond Beach B-8, Commercial, to Plan Business Development, authorizing revision of official zoning map, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-09, read by title only.
Thank you, and trying to remember where we were when this was continued. Were we on discussion at that point? Do you remember, Deputy Mayor Briley?
Yes, sir.
Discussion, okay. All right. So at this point, we do have cards. And let me ask the city attorney, do we need a new motion and second?
I don't recall what the last motion was, other than the motion to continue. Is that the only motion we had on the table?
Yes, but I thought we had, well, I don't even know if we had a motion, did we?
We didn't have a motion, I don't believe, except to continue.
Okay.
So, and I just want to kind of reframe where we're at here. So this is the zoning piece of this. There's two actions, the zoning piece, and then the application for the development order, which is the next item that follows this. It's a separate ordinance. So typically, because the development order travels with the zoning change, you hear both of those matters together. However, we'll need a second motion and a second to the next item when you get to that point. So this piece is really the zoning aspect, but it's hard to talk about the one without talking about the other. So if that kind of helps recirculate your memories, then I'll turn it back over to you and you can begin.
Thank you, Randy. Yep, I think that does. And so we'll start with Planning Director Stephen Spraker on 9B and C.
Good evening, Stephen Spraker, Planning Director. This is just a quick recap of the April 18th meeting. As Attorney Hayes said, there are two actions. One is a zoning map amendment. So what that is seeking to do is to take the three areas of the land use, which is open space conservation next to Moss Point, residential office retail, and general commercial. Those land uses, they would all go to their respective zoning to planned business development. That establishes the framework for the next item, which is the development order. So as you recall, the site plan has been adjusted since the planning board. What they did is, in essence, take out a building located here, and then they made the orange buildings larger. So the total number of units would be 270. That would be a density of 16.44, which is below what the land use allows. They have done some things above and beyond what the code allows or code requires, and that includes a natural preservation of approximately 28% of the site, where the land development code requires 15%. They've also increased the buffers along both Indian Springs and Moss Point, and then planted additional buffers along the property closest to the subject property. The application is before you because there are threshold items. These are not variances. They're basically, if you go above this, you have to go through this process. That include the density, the building height, and the building length. There, within your staff report, there are a number of public benefits, again, focusing on the natural preservation, the restriction of access to emergency access only from Timber Creek Road, and then preservation of natural buffers, and then planting additional buffers. Within your packet, there were correspondence. We received a correspondence recently from Moss Point expressing support of the application of 270 units versus what could potentially be done under the Live Local Act. To cap the Live Local Act, it was a recent law that goes into effect on July 1st. What it does is it preempts, under certain conditions, the city from enforcing zoning, density, and height for affordable housing in commercial, industrial, and mixed-use areas. So the project would have to provide at least 40% of residential units for a period of 30 years. The project under this act would be allowed a maximum of 32 units per acre. They would be allowed a minimum of 3 stories, or the highest height within 1 mile, which is 50 feet. And then that would be approved administratively through the city's site plan review committee. within your memorandum, there was a chart that summarized the differences between the 270 and then the potential Live Local Act. Staff can't really give you an exact number. We can tell you the maximum is 525. There's a certain threshold where if you go over that number, you're going to have to do extraordinary measures for parking. You're going to have to do a parking garage. You have to do parking under the building. Staff believes around 375, you wouldn't have to do those extraordinary measures, but once you get over a certain point, you would. Under the Live Local Act, you do have to comply with the buffers and the setbacks and everything else, but the proposal that you have in front of you well exceeds what our land development code requires. For example, the natural preservation is required at 2.95 acres. They're at 5.44 acres. The restriction of access onto Timber Creek Road, that is not required by right. So the commission has three choices: approved as submitted, approved with conditions, or denied as submitted. Planning board recommended denial with a 5-0 vote, and the applicant is here to address any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions for Stephen?
Mr. Mayor, it's just one question. Stephen, you suggested, or you mentioned under the Live Local Act, the highest building within, I guess, a 1 mile radius of this is 50 feet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this does take into consideration when they pass the Live Local Act that it has to be within the jurisdictions of the city.
Correct. We have.
So the hospital would not qualify.
Correct, on Williamson. So
right.
Along interchange, you allow a B7 zoning district. B7 zoning district allows 50 feet in height.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So it doesn't extend. The other zoning districts allow 75. There's not any within a mile.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Persis.
Yes, Stephen, I have a couple of questions. How many trees in the resource corridor make up the total percentage of the 28% of trees being saved, would you say?
I don't have an exact number. I mean, if you look at the site plan, you can see that there are, basically this is the resource corridor here. So you can see that they're saving that, but they're also saving a significant amount that are outside of that resource corridor. So if I were guessing, I'd say 40 to 50% are in the corridor and 40 to 50% of that area is outside of it.
Okay. And then I've been in contact with the people at Moss Point and working with them, and I just want to make sure a few things, if this is approved tonight, are exact and true. First of all, there would be no more than 270 units.
Correct, that's in the ordinance.
And the project access from Timber Creek would be restricted to emergency access only?
Correct, in the ordinance.
Okay. We would like to request a no U-turn sign be placed at Moss Point Timber Creek intersection.
So Timber Creek Road is a Volusia County roadway. We can certainly make that request, but that's not something the city has jurisdiction over. We'd be happy to make that a Volusia County traffic engineer.
Okay. Make sure that, the ingress and egress are just safe for people, because that's a huge concern. And I just want to verify the height limit is 3 stories, 39.5 feet.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the natural preservation is how many, 5.4 acres?
5.44 acres, yes.
Okay, 5.44 acres. And the setbacks, it looks like, are as generous as they possibly can be.
Correct, and then, again, that was out of negotiations between the applicant and Indian Springs, and then the natural preservation area to the north.
Okay. And as far as the light shining into the Moss Point or any other development nearby, I think they mentioned they were working that out.
Correct. So our code requires maximum 20 feet in height, and it also requires shield guards. Again, there is some considerable distance, but we will make sure that all the light stays on that property.
Okay. And I can follow up maybe with Mr. Kent, who is our county council rep, about maybe getting that sign.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Tallman.
In addition to what Commissioner Persis just verified with you, I didn't see, and I understand that we're talking about zoning right now, and we'll talk about the development order next. I did not see that wall that Indian Springs had lobbied for. Is that included in the plan still in the buffer?
Correct. So the entire property has some type of fencing. So the fencing, starting next to Volusia County Pond, going over here is PVC, and then this is masonry wall here. There's a short gap of PVC, turns back into masonry, and then the rest is aluminum wrought iron, which is open.
Okay, and
So
that's,
the entire property will be fenced.
all right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Sargent.
How many stories, at what point are elevators required?
4.
And then with parking, if this wasn't approved, what is the number of parking per unit? Is there a figure?
Sure. It'd be for each unit, there's a 2 spaces per unit. You can reserve 1.5 and leave 0.5 as unimproved until you need it. So in essence, 2 parking spaces per unit.
So with Votran not running or no public transit running out that way, that could not be minimized, could it?
Correct. They would need to provide 2 spaces per unit.
Any other questions for Stephen? Thank you, Stephen. We'll go to Mark Watts, attorney for the applicant.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. For the record, Mark Watts with the law firm of Cobb Cole, 231 North Woodland Boulevard, DeLand. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. I want to thank staff again for the time and effort that they put into adding the additional analysis with regard to the impact of the Live Local Act to the potential development of the property. I'm not going to go through a lot of the stuff that we talked about at the last meeting. I think I want to simply highlight a couple points. Number one, I think that the proposal that we're here talking about this evening is the result of a lot of time, energy, and effort spent not just by Garrison, our client, and VCP, Ormond, and Harry, Newkirk engineer, and the neighbors in Indian Springs and Moss Point and others that came out and participated in our discussions. That's what you get, I think, when you're dealing with Home Rule Authority and the ability to really kind of make sure that you're getting what the community wants and needs with regard to the development. With regard to the proposal here, we talked briefly about Live Local and what it does and what it opens up here. Our client is committed to doing what he committed to the neighbors to do. And if you recall, the last meeting, Indian Springs came and said based on those things, they were supportive of the proposal, supportive of the rezoning with those standards in place. And I received a copy of the letter from Moss Point today as well. And I just want to make sure I'm confirm the points that they raised in there are all points that we continue to agree with in the development order that's attached as the next agenda item. I think that's the commitment that we all sat around a cul-de-sac or around a table over behind Ormond Garage and talked through and worked through to make sure that we could take care of their concerns. Commissioner Tullen, to your point, the wall is actually part of the exhibit. So if you look at the exhibit that's attached to the materials, the wall is specifically called out on that. And so we're prepared. If the commission moves forward with approving the rezoning and the development order this evening, prepared to honor all the commitments that were made and that were negotiated over the past year and a half with the neighbors and the surrounding property owners and your staff. So we're here to answer any questions. I do also want to, and I mentioned this to Randy earlier today, one of the things that we've been doing, again, I said at the last meeting, the act that could fill in for what happens on this property, from here is new, and we're all working on getting our arms around it. So one of the resources, one of the people that we reached out to kind of get some additional understanding of the act and the process that led to it is Dr. Jeff Sharkey, who's here with us this evening. He was involved in the legislative process to have the Senate Bill 102 Live Local Act adopted. And so we asked him to come this evening just in case the commission has any questions about how that's going to affect things moving forward, anywhere in the city. But he's here and we offer up his expertise if you have any questions that he might be able to answer on that. With that, again, I want to reiterate, we believe that we, in good faith, worked with the surrounding property owners to address the concerns that were raised, and we're prepared to stick by those commitments. So we're here for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions for Mark? Not at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you. John
I want to thank the city councilman, Steve Spraker, and the planning committee. They've worked real hard with us for the last several years, and they've all been above board, so I want to thank you all. Just to be clear, we're not excited about 270 units. We kind of feel like we're the last one standing at the Alamo. We're trying to save the women and children with the best of a couple of bad alternatives here. And what I'm talking about is that just the overall density increase. You know, Moss Point is certainly in favor of planned managed growth, but we're real concerned about the lifestyle of Ormond Beach, and we're concerned that the infrastructure isn't going to support it. So the 270 units, that's going to happen. It's either that or 500 plus units likely. So we're taking the best of a couple alternatives here. But I do want to thank everybody for at least being above board and working with us. Again, we appreciate all the planners, the council people that have worked with us. I think you've talked about what our concessions that had been agreed to are, and it sounds like the developer is going to follow up on that, so I appreciate that. And so I'm going to yield the rest of my time to Dr. Wise. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And that's who I have next, Dr. Richard Weiss.
I don't need much time. Susan Persis, thank you very much. You actually listed our concerns. And after reading Stephen Spraker's thoughtful and informative letter concerning the possible outcomes of the July 1st Florida Live Local Act, we're uncertain of what would take place under the new regulation. Our concerns are a further increase in population density, taller buildings, further depletion of preserved land, the loss of setbacks, buffer areas, and open access to Timber Creek. Although we do not know if any or all of these events would take place, we are less willing to take the risk due to the impact it will have on so many if the worst case scenario takes place. We rescind our request to deny the builder an exemption to build 270 units before July 1, 2023, but that is contingent on the builder fulfilling his responsibilities in line with the previous discussions and city regulations. These include all of the previous concessions and whatever else can be obtained for the well-being, privacy, and safety of the residents of Ormond Beach. I don't have to list them because Susan Persis did an excellent job. We thank you for your support and willingness to listen and hope that all can work towards a resolution that leaves everyone better off. We'll need your support so the process proceeds in the best interest of two parties and not in one. Now, why would I be concerned that things won't proceed in that direction? Just one concern, although you've given us reassurances, I just want to make those reassurances are indelible and in stone. There is TELUS, which is the builder, I believe, had on the website something a long time ago. I'm just going to read it to you, and then this is why I voice a concern. This is the website, TELUS Partners. TELUS Partners are developing a new multifamily project in Ormond Beach, Florida. The total project will consist of 300 units. Partnership views this as an excellent opportunity to invest in a project that will deliver a market-rate apartment community in an area that has seen significant rent growth and falling vacancies over the past few years. A couple of things. Number one, it's an investment. There's nothing wrong with investments. I mean, we all have investments. But the only thing that concerns me is at that time they listed it as they were given 300 units. And I think there's a little bit of hubris and a little bit of disingenuity, or however you pronounce the word. They didn't have 300 units. They had at that time, the exemption wasn't there, so they were limited as 200 or something units, but they announced they have 300. Now they have 280 or 270 units, and we grant that, and that's fine, and it's going to be that way. But I just want to make sure that their commitments are in stone, indelible, and that they are monitored, because they acquired this because of the Florida Live Local Act. If the Florida Live Local Act wasn't there, we would pursue a different direction. Thank you so much, and we appreciate all of your help.
Thank you, Doctor. Jim Mozo.
Good evening. Jim Mozo. I live on Palladium Drive in Southern Pines. Last meeting, I was struck by the people who got up here and said, well, I don't really like it, but it's the lesser of the evils. My father taught me the lesser still evil, and that's what this project is. People are gonna get hurt.
Lean the mic, can't hear.
Oh, thank you. People are gonna get hurt. We can't have this traffic going out on 40 in the mornings. This thing is gonna be gridlocked, there's gonna be people T-boned, rear-ended, it's gonna make it worse. There's no way we can get this traffic any better. Yet he doesn't really care. He just wants his project done. One thing about Ormond that why I moved here, I talk to people that lived here and they go, we're Ormond Beach, we're not Daytona Beach. Let's keep it that way. We're overbuilding. This is going to be nothing but problems. I don't know. I don't like the way he came up here last month and said, if you don't do this, I'll just build affordable housing and you can't stop it. Is that the kind of builder we want? Is he going to have pride in this thing he's making? We got a lot of questions, and this one of them is a 30-year commitment. How's that going to work? I don't think we need to make a decision. We can wait. I think July 1st, we got to make sure this bill's going to stay up. It's going to be challenged. And if it is challenged and it's repealed, we're stuck with this. We're going to be stuck with the lesser of the evils. I don't think we want that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Troy Railsback.
Troy Railsback, 27 Indian Springs Drive, also representing Indian Springs HOA. Appreciate all the effort staff, Stephen Spraker, has put into in time and effort in preparing everyone for a decision tonight, as well as the planning board back in the fall. I want to say that we've had a great working relationship with the developer and their team, and so they have worked with us all along the way. We've incorporated most, if not all, of our requests into the site plan. So we, as we stated at the previous meeting, we do support the project. I do want to read something that I read in at the December 8th planning board. And so again, first off, I want to say we're supporting the project as is. I appreciate the extra effort that Commissioner Tallin and Commissioner Sargent has put in with our community personally. Lots of effort. We really appreciate you reaching out to us and making sure our concerns were incorporated. So thank you very much for doing that. One of the things I did want to read was, what's at stake. I read this at the December meeting. What's at stake and being contemplated is a use that is evolving within our overall area, and more specifically the west side of 95 at Ormond Beach, as well as multifamily apartments being considered at a significantly higher density than established in the current zoning. And we've addressed those concerns with the zoning. So this last piece that I want to read is, at that time, we respectfully request that the planning board and now the commission set lasting and manageable precedent and expectation for this type of development in their decision-making process for this submittal, as well as any future submittals. So on our behalf, we again appreciate the effort and time and concessions that the developer has taken to getting this to this point. We did request lesser density. If this is what it's got to be, we're really pushing for something that, if another parcel in the adjacent, near, or west of 95 area is being considered, we hope that all of the effort working with the neighbors and kind of addressing their concerns from an impact standpoint, which they've incorporated. Again, highly appreciate their efforts, but the unit count is something that I'm concerned in the future that let's just make sure that we get it right, because it's always going to say you did this over here. So we appreciate everyone's time and effort and thought process on this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. All right, Commission. That's all the cards I have. Discussion, Mr. Mayor? Deputy Mayor Brian.
If it pleases the commissioner, if you don't mind, I'd like to actually, if Mr. Watson's brought somebody along that can speak to the Live Local Act, I've got a couple questions on that, if we can get those answered.
Thank you. Let me introduce Dr. Jeffrey Sharkey. Ask him to come up and respond to your questions.
Very good. Thank you. I guess I'll start off by saying that, you know, the Live Local Act on face value was a good bill, was a good law. Because I don't think you'll find anyone on this dais or in this room who are against affordable housing. It's needed. We have a shortage of it, and I think we need to identify. I think we've identified that. I guess my question gets down to when this was passed, and of course, what this basically did was it took powers from local government to make it a decision at this level and made it an administrative policy. Whereas if we denied or rejected that type of project, we'd be in violation of state law. So my question gets down to this: was there any consideration ever given to concurrency, especially as it relates to infrastructure, such as if one of these projects were approved, up to over 500 units on this parcel, traffic, water, sewer, schools, hospitals. If we're already at capacity and the state passes a law that mandates that we have to approve these types of things and our infrastructure can't handle it, how do we move forward?
Right. Commissioner, thank you. My name is Jeff Sharkey. I'm Tallahassee. I'm an issue advocate, a lobbying business, but actively involved in affordable housing for 25 years. So I spent a lot of time with the Senate President and her staff on this bill, helping to draft portions of it. Some portions I didn't draft. This is an experiment, to make clearly, and you're all aware of the quote-unquote the crisis of workforce affordable housing around the state. So this became a top priority, as you know, for the governor and the legislature. And it is an experiment, principally in this particular section. I mean, there's a lot of different pieces to this bill, which you know. And by the way, you did a fabulous job, I think, analyzing this. And this is new. And you're really one of the first local governments that's kind of dealing with this, grappling with this, dealing with the developer, trying to negotiate, what this should really mean, how not to do it wrong, how not to abuse it, and how to do something that's meaningful. Because it really, and I'll get to your question, this piece of this bill is really designed to get market rate developers to think for the first time about how do I incorporate some affordability in my development, right? What's that incentive? And the incentive is the offset, so they got to work the numbers, make sure it works. Listen, the folks in Tallahassee are not developers. The folks in the legislature are policy. So they're not thinking really how do you get there. Some of this may work, some of it may not work, right? So to the point that to your question specifically, a lot of local governments, and I represent local governments and counties in our business. No one wants to preempt local governments. The home rule issue is really sacrosanct for local governments. We get that. But as you know, there's a lot of it going on. So in this particular instance, I mean, the idea is if there are concurrency issues, capacity issues, transportation capacity issues, that's where local government, I think, can begin to negotiate and squeeze down what at the outset might be a really exorbitant unit count. If there's something local that's 32 units per acre density. There certainly was that consideration. I anticipate as this gets played out, and you're really, you're kind of pioneers in this discussion of what does this really mean? How do you deal with neighbors? What does the developer do in terms of making this work for that community? There'll be feedback from legislators and local governments over the course of this year, and maybe fine-tuning some of this so that it meets some of these questions. But again, this was a big piece of legislation, very bold. They knew. I know. Talking to I worked with the woman who drafted it consistently. They knew that there were going to be some issues that were going to be, people were going to push back on. May not work in community X, may work in community Y. So again, my answer really is this is an experiment. Something with real consequences, as you know.
I guess the concern is it's a 13-year experiment.
Yeah.
because it's guaranteed, I think it sunsets in 2035.
Yes, yeah.
So,
But workforce affordable housing, is affecting every community. This bill put almost $1 billion, $800 million new money into this. It's going to take different pieces, and so the goal is to help. I think, as the gentleman pointed out, you've got this developer here who's really willing to think through and work with the stakeholders, community organizers, your staff. There are others that'll come through. Trying to develop. So I think you're setting a precedent, getting your arms around this to really help manage that process going forward.
sure, I guess my concern is it can just really stress, when you say it may work with community X and not community Y, and it may really put a stress on community Y where they can't, supply the services and have the capacity for all the demand that comes with it.
Commissioner, you're absolutely right, Mayor. This one size doesn't fit all.
Sure,
We all know that, and I think this is out on the street. It's moving forward. There'll be comments back and forth, and I guarantee you this will be refined. I mean, for all the reasons you pointed out.
Commissioner Tolland.
So what you just said was one of the comments I was going to make, and you're correct, one size doesn't fit all. So my question to you is, was there any consideration or discussion related to the size of the city? I mean, I imagine that this bill was, this act was passed because it would probably work well in a larger metropolitan city, but what about the small, medium cities? It stresses our size city immensely.
Yeah, Commissioner, you're right on point, and I agree with that. There was discussion. Process-wise, and this bill moved very quickly. I mean, it was drafted, it was moved. I've been doing this for 25 to 30 years. It's the fastest bill I've ever seen passed. Right, #1 priority from the Senate President. Governor was all over it. But there were a lot of. I work with Florida League of Cities and the Florida Association of Counties, and there was a lot of conversation about, listen, this may adversely impact, different communities of different sizes, areas of critical state concern, the Keys, other communities as well. And I think, again, your voice kind of back to the legislature. You've got some great legislators in this area on some of these issues. I think you'll see some refinement. But you're right on point. Yeah.
Anyone else? Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, if I can also just briefly respond to your question on concurrency. One of the things that the bill specifically doesn't do is exempt a project from concurrency. So no matter what, for example, the 270 unit proposal that we have before you this evening, we've gone through the preliminary analysis. We've meet all of the concurrency standards for roads and schools and everything else. We have to continue doing that as we move forward into the site plan process. If the project was moving forward under Live Local, it still would have to meet the concurrency requirements. And so that's one of the controls that you'll have moving forward on density, do you have the capacity? Can you afford the prop share and the other road costs that are, so I just want to make very clear, there is specific language in the legislation that says all other regulations that are in place with the city are still in effect, and concurrency is one of those, and that's one of the things we've confirmed with your staff that we're all on the same page with that.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Commissioner Sargent.
Comments. I'm still struggling with the density. It's a major concern. Our hospitals are overloaded, our roads, schools, and here we are making a decision on an experiment. That just really troubles me that we're being kind of the guinea pigs, if you will, on this bill that was rushed through. It's going to be challenged. I mean, experiment, one size doesn't fit all, but yet we're supposed to make a decision for our residents that have to live with this the rest of their lives. This developer has a project called the Exchange at Oakwood, which is 194 units on 15 acres. That's the type of project I would like to see at Ormond Beach. Not 270 at this location with the infrastructure issues that I've addressed. I'm struggling with that, and it really bothers me to hear that it's an experiment.
is from the zoning change, correct? I'll move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yeah, before I give my yes or no, I just wanted to make the comment at our last meeting when we were discussing the possibility of building this Timber Creek Apartments. I said to everybody in the room that I was not in favor of the development for the traffic concerns, the safety concerns, the density issues, the no hospital, the environmental issues. But after speaking with, the residents of Moss Point, and I've heard from Indian Springs, I am going to change my vote to yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Mayor Partington,
Yes. And Commissioner Tolland.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to make a comment related to what we're voting on, and it probably could wait till after B as well, but I just want everyone to know that my vote to approve this project was not given lightly. We up here are elected to represent you all in your desires and then balance that with the ordinance that are presented to us. I'm very grateful to the citizens of Indian Springs and Moss Point for their willingness to protect their interests and share their concerns publicly. And I do expect and I appreciate, Mark, that you will honor the requests from those residents. I appreciate the quality of the project presented with the upgrades to the property, but I do want to go on record that I too am not happy with the density on this corner, as we have discussed ad nauseum. The Live Local Act definitely changes the outlook on all our future projects, at least for the next 13 years. And I do understand that it's an effort to address the deficiency in workforce and affordable housing in the state of Florida, but it has taken away our home rule advantage, and that is what we need to make those decisions that are best for our community. It's my hope that the Florida League of Cities will possibly visit this legislation and determine that one size does not fit all, and hopefully lobby on behalf of us small to medium-sized cities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Deputy Mayor Briley.
If I may just say as well, I was able to speak with the applicant on this. We had the Zoom meeting. I spoke with Mr. Dietz and Dr. Weiss and Mr. Gentry over in Indian Springs, and they have very valid concerns on this project, and I share those concerns as well. I too am not thrilled with the density, but understanding what could come, I have to, as the gentleman said, take the lesser of two evils, and evil might be evil, but it's not as bad as it possibly could be, I guess. I don't necessarily like it, but I will ask this. Garrison, I know that this is your project. I know that you will be a good neighbor. I trust that you'll be a good neighbor to the folks in Indian Springs and Moss Point and the rest of Ormond Beach.
Thank you. Commissioner Persis.
I just want to add something. I just want to thank Mr. Dietz and Dr. Weiss for all your work and all your research and doing everything. I really concur with everybody up here, everything everybody said. It's all thoughtful. I think we've all probably had a couple of sleepless nights. I know I have over this, worrying about it. And so we just trust you, the developer, to treat Ormond Beach special, and that's what we would really hope and think about our residents. So thank you.
9C.
Ordinance number 2023-10, an ordinance authorizing the execution and issuance of a development order for a planned business development to be located at 36 North Timber Creek Road, Volusia County parcel number 4125-00-00-0221, and 2011 West Granada Boulevard, Volusia County, parcel number 4125-00-00-0243, to be known as the Timber Creek Apartments, authorizing the development of 270 multifamily residential units and associated site improvements under certain conditions, establishing conditions and expirations of approval, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-10, read by title only.
Thank you. I don't have any additional cards than what we've already been through, as we talked about before, 9B and 9C are
I move approval of ordinance number 2023-10.
related. Motion,
Second.
moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Sargent,
No.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 9D.
Ordinance number 2023-25. An ordinance amending paragraph C, official zoning map of section 2-01, established of Article 1, establishment of zoning districts and official zoning map of Chapter 2, District and General Regulations of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code by amending the official zoning map to rezone 9 certain parcels of real property totaling approximately 103.45 acres located south of Plantation Oaks Boulevard, east of Addison Drive, north of the Village of Pine Run subdivision, and west of the Plantation Oaks subdivision. Volusia County parcel numbers 3136-01-01-0011, 3136-01-01-0012, 3136-01-33-0110, 3136-01-25-0010, 3136-01-24-0060, 3136-01-33-0080, 3136-01-01-0020, 3136-01-23-0060, and 3136-01-24-0050 from Volusia County R-4 Urban Single Family Residential and Ormond Beach B-8 Commercial to Ormond Beach Planned Residential Development, authorizing revision of official zoning map, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-25, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan, and I'll ask our planning director, Stephen Spraker, to speak on this item.
This item, similar to the last one, has two components. There's a zoning map amendment and then the issuance of development order. This property is unique. It started out probably about 2 years ago, and there was a decision on the road. One decision was to develop in unincorporated Volusia County, get water and sewer from Ormond Beach, and go with the county land use and density. The applicants met with city staff. They expressed their vision to do a low-density residential subdivision. So they went through a process. They went through an interlocal service boundary agreement amendment. They went through annexation, and they went through a land use amendment. And that land use amendment decreased the number of units allowed in this area by about 500 to 600 units, depending on whose calculation that you would want to do. As part of that land use amendment, they agreed to a maximum of 298 units. You're probably wondering what these parcels are here. Those are out parcels not controlled by the applicant, and that was one of the reasons for the interlocal service boundary agreement. So in order to come into Ormond Beach, they've gone through a lot of steps. So the existing land use today is low-density residential, which is this portion here, and then medium-density residential, which is this portion abutting Addison Drive. So to orient, Plantation Oaks Boulevard is located along this area here, US 1B located here on the map, and this would be Addison Drive. So the land use map restricted the density that was allowed from Volusia County. The first action is to go from the Volusia County R4 and the Ormond Beach B8, which was this portion here, to a planned residential development zoning. And that again establishes the framework for the development order. Planning Board recommended approval of the zoning map amendment by a 5-1 vote. The development order has gone through a typical process, started with our site plan review committee. There was a neighborhood meeting in July. planning board recommended approval of the development order in April, and it's on city commission agenda tonight and in June 6th. There are a couple other applications that are coming in your next agenda. One is a preliminary plat, that is construction drawings. Usually with planned developments, we don't see construction drawings, that's later, but they've gone ahead and done the construction drawings. And then a partial plat vacation to erase some of the roads from the 1926 plat. So this is the site plan that is in your packet. The gross density of the project is 2.76 units per acre, so that's 286 units, lower than the committed maximum of 298. The site design is really seeking to adjust and adhere what's around it. Along Addison Drive, there are townhomes, so this purple area are duplexes. The area abuts Village of Pine Run, so those are larger lots with a 35-foot landscape buffer. And then the area in yellow abuts Plantation Oaks Phase 3, so those have a 50-foot buffer. So you have three different housing types all within the same living area. One of the things that the applicant also did was restrict access from Addison Drive, so all the traffic would be focused on Plantation Oaks Boulevard. The out parcels shown on our map are shown in pink, so right here, and then one right here. They will all maintain access through construction and development. The property has gone through the concurrency analysis, school concurrency. We've had the traffic analyzed by our independent consultant. We've had a stormwater review. St. John's permit has been issued. One of the things that we noted in the stormwater review is there is a lesser rate of discharge, both in the amount of water and the volume of water that's discharged. So the volume going to the Village of Pine Run and eventually Ormond Lakes is being reduced. That was one of the concerns at Planning Board. In terms of environmental, there's a 35-foot buffer along Village of Pine Run. Land Development Code requires 6 feet. There's about 25% of the site is saved as natural area, including the large wetland in the middle and then along Plantation Oaks Boulevard. The project proposes recreation shown in this area here, which includes a pool and clubhouse, a dog park, and an activity field, and there's also walking trails along Plantation Oaks Addison and then along the boundary here. The input we received a letter of objection from Mr. Lehman, which is in your packet. We also talked to one of the out parcels. Their concern was screening the cul-de-sac. So at Planning Board, there was an amendment to require a PVC vinyl fence and a hedge, and that's within the development order. Planning Board recommended approval with a 5-to-1 vote, and the applicant is here to address the commission if there are any questions.
Thank you, Stephen. Any questions for Stephen? Deputy Mayor Breyer.
Mr. Mayor, just real quick. Stephen, those out parcels that you have shown, those were going to remain in Volusia County, correct, under Volusia County zoning? I recall this coming to us last year.
Correct, under interlocal service boundary agreement.
Right.
So under the interlocal service boundary agreement, ISBA, they have city land use and zoning, but they remain in unincorporated Volusia County. Correct. The only time we would require annexation is they connect to utilities.
Utilities.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good. And then they could have developed this in the county under a higher density.
Correct. So the
Just
density was a minimum of 4, which
right.
They're at 2.76, and a maximum of 8. So yes, there was a much higher density.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Commissioner Toller.
Is this the community that Ormond Lakes came and spoke about? I'm getting confused with some of these communities, and we, city staff, addressed it with that baffle at the Addison Canal, or they were going to redirect it so it didn't go into the lake system?
Correct. So this Ormond Lakes did show up at the planning board, and they might be here tonight too. So the concern was the drainage off the property. Today it drains off the property and towards the Village of Pine Run and Ormond Lakes. So what they're doing is they're rerouting and reducing that impact. And at the planning board, staff also mentioned the stormwater master plan has a study for the Ormond Lakes area. We've requested Public Works to move that into year 1. You'll see that hopefully in your budget coming soon.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Stephen. I have a card from Glenn Storch, if anybody has questions. Glenn?
I've got a PowerPoint. There it is. So
For the record, my name is Glenn Storch, and I've been enjoying working on this project for a while now, partially because this is a client that lives in Ormond Beach, has lived in Ormond Beach for decades and decades. In fact, my daughter went to school with one of his sons, and the nice thing is he knows that he wants to do what's right for Ormond Beach, and everything we've done here has been with that goal, to try to create that goal. So in this particular case, for instance, some of the stuff you've just heard, let's see, does this work like that? There it goes. So the history is, as we talked about, we had to go through a lot of steps to be in Ormond Beach and to be part of Ormond Beach. This could have been in the county. This could have been in the county under a much higher density and zoning classification. But we actually worked with the county and the city to create an interlocal agreement that allowed for this piece to be annexed and to be properly reviewed. It allowed for the annexation, it allowed for the municipal utilities, it allowed for us to combine with the parcel that was already in the ISBA, that multi-family parcel, so we could then mix these things together and make a better community. And the county had straight zoning and comprehensive plans that would have allowed, according to the county, over 1,000 units on the site. That didn't make any sense, especially with the wetlands on the site and the buffers that you would need to have. So in this particular case, the annexation into Ormond Beach allowed us to reduce the permitted density. It allowed us to plan for clustering. It allowed us to preserve the wetland areas and natural vegetation. It allowed for, of course, municipal utilities on the site, as opposed to septic tanks and wells. And it allowed us to do a creative design that clustered and created something that was different, so that you had, that's what Steve was talking about. You have some of the project that is close to the townhouse areas, some that is closer to Pine Runs and different, and some that's closer to Plantation. So we stipulated to the comprehensive plan amendment that was approved by the city and the Department of Economic Opportunity, and that limited the number of units back to 1,000 down to no more than 298 units for the entire parcel, and no more than 3 units per acre, even though originally we could have had approximately 8 units per acre, and 754 units. Since that time, we've now worked through with staff and with our engineer and our team, and we have now reduced it from the 298 allowed under what we agreed to 286 units, because that works, because that fits for the community. And as you see, we've done different types of homes on the site, so it's not all the same type. It's 84 of the duplex lots, 136 50-foot single-family lots, and 66 of the 75-foot single-family estate lots. As you see, we've preserved a large amount of wetlands and upland buffers in the center of the community. That's intentional. That also provides a reason for people to have different areas to themselves. The natural vegetation and tree preservation exceeds the required tree preservation. We have 25.52 acres in lieu of the 15.52 acres required by the LDC. We will maintain 25.52 acres, or 24%, 24.67%, almost 25%, in its natural state, period. Protected and undisturbed. And again, that's unusual, but what it does is it increases the value of the community, because people want to be there, as opposed to clearing, massive clearing and sticking trees, 2.5-inch trees on a lot. By the way, this is not just an easy, a thing to do that's pleasing to you. It's also a thing that's a good marketing, because it would cost a fortune to replace those trees that were already built, that were already growing there, that the vegetation's already growing there, and you got it there for free. So it's the sort of thing that, from a marketing standpoint, is also smart. We've also looked at the fact that we're looking at quality of life. So over 50,000 square feet of the outdoor recreation area. We have 2 walking trails in lieu of the 8,900 square foot required. We have active recreation of over 33,000 square feet. That exceeds the 60 square feet per unit, or 17,000 square feet. And we have enhanced amenities for recreation: swimming pool, cabana, dog park, playground, activity fields. one of the reasons I mentioned the outdoor recreation that we have on this site and the amount of it is because of the fact that you require a couple things. You require outdoor recreation and you require indoor recreation. In our case, indoor activities did not make as much sense as the outdoor activities. And so that's why we're asking for some waiver on that side, because it's we're in Florida. Outdoor makes a whole lot more sense sometimes. Effective water management was also important. When we were looking at this, we looked at low density development standards that would also use stormwater properly. So in our case, we have dual use. We have stormwater retention ponds that will also be used for irrigation. Therefore, reducing the amount of water that would be coming from the city. We have aquifer recharge at this location. We have no groundwater wells required for irrigation. We have large areas of natural vegetation, Florida-friendly vegetation, and native species, which reduce the needs for irrigation. And I'm sure most of you know that irrigation probably takes up at least 70% of our typical water supply for most subdivisions. So that's one of the things that we're working on. Again, effective water management, no wells or septic tanks, except for the enclave areas that I think does it still have a well or septic tank? Steve, do you remember? Yeah, there's still a well and septic tank in the enclave area, but for us, of course, it's prohibited. But what that does for us also by having no wells and septic tanks is there's no impact to adjacent residential portable wells, because Pine Run all has wells, and so they're always concerned about the effect on their wells. So this will also do that, but at the same time, by doing our irrigation the way we've done it, it will also allow for a natural recharge to the aquifer in that location. We were protecting our adjoining neighbors. We've listened to everyone we've heard. We've had neighborhood meetings. I really enjoyed the neighborhood meeting, to be honest with you. So we were able to talk to folks. Everyone has different needs. Pine Run wanted a buffer. They didn't want to see us. We didn't want to see them. So we put a natural wooded buffer of at least 35 feet on the east side adjacent to the village of Pine Run. On top of that, of course, there's a canal there. There's setbacks from the canal. And so the nearest neighboring residents will be at least 100 to 150 feet away from any new homes in Ridge Haven. That's a nice buffer. South Addison Drive, of course, no vehicular access on Addison Drive, only vegetated buffer. There was at one point a plan to show an access on that. Working with staff and with neighbors, we decided not to have that. All access will be off of Plantation Oaks. North is the common area with the wetlands. West is Plantation Oaks Boulevard, and we have our entrances that direct traffic toward the US 1 signal and away from existing residential areas. Again, that's important for traffic control. We've designed this as an upscale neighborhood, as you can tell. Well-designed streetscape, landscape entry signs, ornamental street lights throughout, ornamental sign poles to provide that upscale aesthetic you're looking for. In addition to the preserved areas, there will also be 298 street trees planted throughout the development. So just to let you know, that means that in the entirety of the development, because you have the street trees, plus you have trees on the new lots, plus you have the areas preserved, you'll have 1,552 total new trees on this site, in addition to the preserved areas. That's the way to create a neighborhood that people want to live in. I think we've talked about most of the rest of this stuff, the low impact development features, reduction in density, clustering, encouragement of correct vegetation, landscape vegetation, and stormwater lakes used for irrigation. In addition, the HOA, this was important to some folks, the HOA will maintain and manage those natural areas and remove invasive species, and we will place the standards for those HOA requirements in the HOA requirements. And I think I've also provided some proposed language for that, because that was a discussion with the planning board. But I did indicate that I worked with the neighbors to make sure that was in the HOA documents, and the landowners City water and sewer, no water septic tanks, minimize impervious surface of the clustering, by clustering and retention of stormwater. Oh, this is important. Retention of more stormwater on site than the existing condition. Steve alluded to that just now. What that means is you've got a vacant piece of property right now, and when we're done, you will have more stormwater, or less stormwater leaving this site than you have right now. So we're reducing the amount of stormwater off the site by developing properly and developing it with these stormwater. Now, on top of that, again, this is just something we've listened to. As you know, right now, not our fault, has nothing to do with this project whatsoever, has nothing to do with this lot. But on top of that, as you know, Ormond Lakes has concerns regarding water going toward them. And so what we've been able to do, working with Parker, is engineer this in such a way where now that one canal that goes toward Ormond Lakes, the water on that will be diverted to the west. The west or east? Thank you. This is why I have him around. So, it'll be diverted to the east into a natural area, is that correct? So, that is a major issue, and again, it's a problem that we try to solve. It's not it wasn't our problem that's caused by this, but it is a problem. If we can listen to a problem, if we can help solve it, we're doing it. So that's what we're doing. So you'll have the diversion right there at the corner. So water will be going that way as opposed to turning to the right. All right. So the conclusion on this one is that this is a PRD. It's consistent with the Ormond Beach Comprehensive Plan. It's consistent with the Land Development Code, and your city staff recommends approval, and your planning board recommends approval. Is there any questions? And we have our people here to answer them if there are, but I hope we've done a good job on this.
Any questions? Commissioner Persons.
I just have a couple of comments. First of all, Parker, I just want to thank you for, bringing this. This looks beautiful. I mean, it really does. I want to thank you for reducing the number of homes to 286.
This isn't Parker's project.
Oh, I thought it was Parker's.
No.
You're sitting there standing.
Parker's the engineer on this.
Is what?
Parker's the engineer on it.
Oh, okay. Well.
The owner of Ridgehaven is a guy named Rick Mageri.
Oh, okay.
Who has lived in this community for years and years.
Okay. Well, I know Parker had a lot to do with it, though.
He has.
So, but what I want to tell you is what I'm liking about this, that it has been reduced to 286. 25% of the property is going to be in its natural state with native plants.
Right.
There's going to be walking trails. I mean, people love that. A dog park. Everybody loves a dog park. I love the 35-foot buffer. Playgrounds are important. People to get outside. Recreation areas with activity fields. I love the ornamental street signs that are on the street that it makes it look nicer. And I really like that the neighboring residents are at least 100 to 150 feet away, from this development.
It's a community.
So, it looks like it's really kind of a self-contained, very nice area. And to top it off, adding 1,552 new trees to grow, which is huge. So I just want to say that I knew you had a lot to do with it.
Well, the best thing he did, like I say, is find a way to help Ormond Lakes.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I really did appreciate.
Exactly. So,
Mr. Mayor, that was what I just wanted to touch base on, is thank you for, that's been an issue up there for a while, is that stormwater runoff. And if anything y'all could have done to alleviate that for those folks, that's much appreciated. Commissioner Thomas.
I appreciate the water issue as well. That's in my zone, and I've been talking with the Ormond Lakes people for a long time, and I know that's been a concern. And I do have one request, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention this and get this in the minutes. Native trees.
Yes.
Use native. Go native.
Yeah,
that's all I can say.
You're absolutely correct. I have talked to the client about this, and his intent is to, most of the trees, in fact, will be native. Some of the vegetation will not be native, but probably Florida friendly or something like this. But the trees, because of the fact we have so many good native trees, we intend on using those, especially along our streetscapes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Glenn.
All right, thank you.
All right, I don't have any other cards.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 9E.
Ordinance number 2023-26, an ordinance authorizing the execution and issuance of a planned residential development order for the Ridge Haven subdivision, authorizing a subdivision of 286 lots on approximately 103.45 acres to be located south of Plantation Oaks Boulevard, east of Addison Drive, north of the Village of Pine Run subdivision, and west of the Plantation Oaks subdivision, establishing conditions and expiration of approval and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-26, read by title only.
I don't have any other cards.
I move approval of ordinance number 2023-26.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? I'll just say, Glenn and Parker, you guys should take this project and do a statewide tour on how to develop in the state of Florida, because it's incredible what you've accomplished. Just, I mean, the reduced density alone, reducing it by 754 units, and then the fact that you're getting this area on city utilities. We're not going to have septic draining into the Tomoka River Basin as a result of this.
But I gotta tell you, I couldn't have done Stephen, that's why everyone working together is how you get things done.
All right, Stephen, you're going on the tour too. Anyone else? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 9F.
Ordinance number 2023-27, an ordinance amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city of Ormond Beach by amending the future land use map to change the designation of one parcel of real property totaling 3.06 plus or minus acres located at 1755 North US Highway 1, Volusia County, parcel number 3126-00-00-0150, from low-intensity commercial to light industrial utilities, providing for conflict, authorizing transmittal, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-27, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan, and I'll ask Stephen Spraker to speak on this one.
This application is a land use amendment. Property is located at 1755 North US Highway 1. The property today has a land use of low-intensity commercial that will allow a variety of commercial uses: restaurant, retail, transient lodging, office. The applicant has bought it with the intention of moving Wayne Solar to the property. They're looking to do an office up front, warehouse in the back. That requires an industrial land use and zoning, so that's what they're asking for. Planning Board recommend approval with a 6-0 vote, and the applicant's representative is here if there are any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Stephen or the applicant?
Move approval.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Persis is not here. Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 9G.
Ordinance number 2023-28, an ordinance amending paragraph C, official zoning map of section 2-01, established of article 1, establishment of zoning districts and official zoning map of chapter 2, district and general regulations of the city of Ormond Beach Land Development Code, by amending the official zoning map to rezone one parcel of real property totaling approximately 3.06 acres located at 1755 North US Highway 1, Volusia County, parcel number 3126-00-00-0150, from B-7 Highway Tourist Commercial to I-1 Light Industrial, authorizing revision of official zoning map, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-28, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan. And let me go back to 2023-27 real quick. Commissioner Persis had stepped out, but I think she did want her vote to be recorded. Randy, do you have a problem with that?
Susan, if you could call the roll on 2023-27, just as to Commissioner Persis. Everyone else was a yes.
Okay, Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Thank you. And now we're back on 2023-28, and we'll ask Planning Director Steven Spraker to speak on this.
So corresponding with the land use that was approved in the previous item, this is the zoning. So the zoning is proposed to go from B7, highway tourist commercial, to light industrial. Planning board recommended approval with a 6-0 vote. Again, the applicant is here if there are any questions.
Any questions for Steven?
So
Mayor, I move
moved.
approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded?
You got
Twice?
2 and 2.
Twice each.
Twice.
Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes, 9H.
Ordinance number 2023-29, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, District and General Regulations, Article 2, District Regulations, Section 2-21T-2, Manufactured Home Zoning District of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code by creating special standards for previously existing manufactured mobile home parks, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-29, read by title only.
Thank you. And Planning Director Steven Spraker.
This action is a land development code amendment. There was a land development code amendment in 2015 that removed this language from the T2 zoning district. Reading the staff report, they didn't believe there was any properties that this would apply to. The Ridgecrest mobile home property has a portion of the property zoned T2. Without this, they would have to use traditional setbacks. With this, they can use lesser setbacks according to the fire safety standards, so they can replace and maintain their mobile homes. Staff is recommending approval. The planning board also recommend approval of this amendment.
Any questions for Steven?
Move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes, 9I.
Ordinance number 2023-30, an ordinance amending Section 1-25 reserved of Article 4, Schedule of Development Review and Impact Fees of Chapter 1, General Administration to implement the Water and Wastewater Utility System Connection Fee Study by creating the Water and Wastewater Connection Fee section. Amending Section 1-26, Mobility Fee of Article 4, Schedule of Development Review and Impact Fees of Chapter 1, General Administration to amend the person trip mobility fee per the Municipal Impact Fee Study. Amending Section 1-27, Impact Fees of Article 4, Schedule of Development Review and Impact Fees of Chapter 1, General Administration to delete stormwater impact fees, amend local road impact fees, and create police and fire impact fees per the Municipal Impact Fee Study and Police and Fire Impact Fee Study. Amending Section 1-30, Certificate of Concurrency, required of Article 5, Concurrency Management of Chapter 1, General Administration. Amending Section 3-57, Potable Water System of Article 5, Utility and Infrastructure Design Standards of Chapter 3, Performance Standards. Amending Section 3-59, Sanitary Sewer Systems of Article 5, Utility and Infrastructure Design Standards of Chapter 3, Performance Standards. Amending Section 3-60, Reclaimed Water Systems of Article 5, Utility Infrastructure Design Standards of Chapter 3, Performance Standards. Amending Section 3-61, Utility Line Extensions of Article 5, Utility and Infrastructure Design Standards of Chapter 3, Performance Standards. Amending Section 3-62, Wholesale Sale of Potable Water, Sewage Treatment, or Reclaimed Water of Article 5, Utility and Infrastructure Design Standards of Chapter 3, Performance Standards. Amending Section 3-65, Interim Package Type Wastewater Treatment Facility of Article 5, Utility Infrastructure Design Standards of Chapter 3, Performance Standards of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code to implement the recommendations of the Water and Wastewater Utility System Connection Fee Study, Municipal Impact Fee Study, and Police and Fire Impact Fee Study. Repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-30, read by title only.
Thank Planning Director Stephen Spraker.
This is a land development code amendment, and the next item is a code of ordinance amendment. They're both focused on the impact fee study update. We've been talking, at least at a commission level, since September of 2022. So there's been a couple of discussion items providing direction. As required by state statute, we've done extraordinary circumstances, and then we've gone to the planning board for recommendation. If approved by the commission, these fees would be effective September 4th, 2023. The analysis for the amendments were done by Raftellus in a series of studies, including the water and wastewater utility system fee study, the municipal impact fee studies, and the police and fire impact fee studies. So that basically laid the groundwork of what fees the city could charge. Commission provided direction on some of the fees, and this is just a quick summary. The water and sewer, we've changed terminology from impact fees to connection fees. That triggers a lot of sections that we need to go to and to make that amendment. The water connection fee, and this is for a single family, which is one equivalent living unit, is decreased by $569. The sewer fee goes up by $748. Our local roads are adjusted to go up to current rates. By policy, the direction was to increase the park and rec to $2,500 to the maximum we could assess. We've created police and fire local impact fees, and then we're deleting the stormwater impact fee, relying on the stormwater fee. So that's a synopsis of the key changes. One of the key changes I wanted to focus on was the mobility fee. So the mobility fee is charged in certain corridors. So basically from Williamson to the ocean along Granada Boulevard, South US 1, and then South Atlantic Avenue. So in those corridors, they are transportation concurrency exception areas. So we don't apply the same concurrency that we would apply at Timber Creek and Granada. And there's a fee that's assessed. And the options that we laid out were basically, the full fee that we could charge is $85.67. When you look at that fee versus the existing mobility fee, or even what the local road fee is proposed, it's higher than the local road impact fee. So we want to make sure the commission is aware of that, and that's the direction. If you were to charge 69% of the fee, you'd be roughly equivalent to the local road impact fee. When the mobility fee was created back in 2012, there was a policy decision to reduce that fee to encourage redevelopment in the concurrency exception areas. So it's the commission's decision for any of these options. Staff just wants to make you aware of that mobility fee. For the two amendments, the land development code amendments went to the planning board. They were recommended for approval. The key sections are the connection fees, which is the water and wastewater, the mobility fees, and impact fees. All the other sections are terminologies. Same with the next amendment item is the code of ordinances. Staff is recommending approval. If there are any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions for Stephen? Just need a motion and a second.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, just on the mobility fees, I would actually prefer looking at either option 2 or option 3 rather than option 1.
I can go with option 1 or option 2.
And Deputy Mayor, you were option 2 or 3?
Yeah, and I'm leaning more toward 2. I just think 1's it's compared to where we are, I think it's kind of, it's a big jump.
I definitely am not for option 3. I'm in between 1 and 2 as well. I do think it's a big jump for the single-family dwelling, especially. So I need to be convinced either way. I'm not 100% either way yet with 1 or 2.
I'm good with option 2.
So if there's a motion, they would want to include option 2.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion approved with option 2.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 9J.
Ordinance number 2023-31, An ordinance amending section 8-10 application processing fee of Article 1 in general of Chapter 8 Buildings and Construction Regulations, repealing section 8-421 purpose and intent of Article 9 impact fees of Chapter 8 Buildings and Construction Regulations, repealing section 8-422 fee imposed of Article 9 impact fees of Chapter 8 Buildings and Construction Regulations, repealing section 8-423 impact fee financing of Article 9 impact fees of Chapter 8 Buildings and Construction Regulations, repealing section 22-2 determination of equivalent living units of Division 1 generally of Article 1 Water of Chapter 22 Water and Sewers, amending section 22-29 special provisions for water for irrigation and swimming pools of Division 2 rates and charges of Article 1 Water and Chapter 22 Water and Sewers, repealing section 22-115 fee imposed, schedule of Article 3 impact fee for system extensions of Chapter 22 Water and Sewers, repealing section 22-118 property subject to fee, method of payment of Article 3 impact fee for system extensions of Chapter 22 Water and Sewers, repealing section 22-119 impact fee financing of Article 3 impact fee for system extensions and Chapter 22 Water and Sewers, amending section 22-132 legislative findings, purpose of Article 4 Hunters Ridge Flagler County DRI service area of Chapter 22 Water and Sewers, amending section 22-133 service area defined of Article 4 Hunters Ridge Flagler County DRI service area of Chapter 22 Water and Sewers, amending section 22-135 rates for water and sewer services, impact fees of Article 4 Hunters Ridge Flagler County DRI service area of Chapter 22 Water and Sewers, amending section 22-140 impact fees of Article 4 Hunters Ridge Flagler County DRI service area of Chapter 22 Water and Sewers, amending section 22-162 boundaries and purpose of Article 6 West Ormond Utilities District of Chapter 22 Water and Sewers, amending section 22-165 impact fees of Article 6 West Ormond Utility District of Chapter 22 Water and Sewers, amending section 22-168 outside city service area city services of Article 6 West Ormond Utility District of Chapter 22 Water and Sewers, and amending section 22-169 connections required of Article 6 West Ormond Utility District of Chapter 22 Water and Sewers of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Ormond Beach to implement the recommendations of the Water and Wastewater Utility System Connection Fee Study, Municipal Impact Fee Study, and Police, Fire, and Fire Impact Fee Study, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-31, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan, and we'll ask Planning Director Stephen Spraker to give us some background on this one.
This item is a continuation of the other one, so in essence, for the Code of Ordinances, what we're doing is removing the terminology that says impact fees, put connection fees, and then referring all the fees back to the Land Development Code. Staff is recommending approval.
Thanks, Stephen. Any questions for Stephen?
Mr. Mayor, just a question, do we still need to, or maybe Randy, do we need to include, we still have in the staff report, the different options for the mobility fee, do we need to adopt one here or no? Are we okay with the last?
This is solely for the Code of Ordinances.
Okay.
So the mobility fees and the Land
Oh,
Development Code.
very
Right.
good.
So this is really just amending terminology and putting all the fees in the Land Development Code.
Gotcha, thank you.
Just need a
I
motion.
move approval.
Second.
Motion by Persis, second by Briley. Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes, we will close the public hearings. Excuse me. Move to first reading of ordinances, 10A.
Ordinance number 2023-32, an ordinance amending section 2-221 Leisure Services Advisory Board of Article 6, Boards, Commissions, Committees, and Other Agencies of Chapter 2 Administration of the Code of Ordinances by amending composition and terms, providing terms and conditions, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-32, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan. I don't have any cards.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes, and we are at discussion and direction items, 11A, and we'll start with Sean Finley, Public Works Director.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Back in January, we had a workshop where we brought you up to speed on some DOT projects. One of the projects that we had at that time was introduced to you by Marcus Lisicki, who's our DOT project manager, and he brought up the project State Road A1A improvements, which are those improvements north of Granada Boulevard. Since that meeting, DOT has conducted a public meeting, which was very well attended, both in person and online, and they received some comments from their residents. DOT has made some modifications to the plan, so Marcus is with me this evening. He's going to go through some of the changes real briefly, and just make sure that we're all in concurrence with the direction that DOT is headed with this project.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Just a brief overview of the project, and first of all, thank you for your patience, this being the last agenda item. So I'm Mark Slisicki. I'm representing the Florida Department of Transportation. Also here with me is Ed Kestry. He is the District Consultant Project Management Engineer for District 5. The intent of the project is speed management along A1A, and in addition to resurfacing, the project limits begin north of State Road 40 and end at Sandra Drive, so it's a little over 3.5 miles. Again, the project goal is to extend the life of the roadway and improve safety for all users. Back during the workshop, we showed some typical sections and renderings of what those improvements might look like. If you're hanging a left on Granada going north, it's a 4-lane section that merges into a 2-lane section. It has curb and gutter, so that's what you see here on the typical section. What's different is that we'll be proposing a 10-foot wide shared use path on the west side, and a 6-foot wide sidewalk on the east side exists today up to a certain point. Again, here's that nice rendering that was displayed a couple of months ago, and there was some mature landscaping. Again, we're doing the best we can. We'll probably coordinate with Sean here in the near future on what that might look like. As you head north, it merges into 2 lanes. It's the more residential section of the typical section. You can still see that shared use path. It will be an asphalt 10-foot wide shared use path on the west side. And the reason why you do not see a 6-foot wide sidewalk on the east side is because it does not fit within the existing FDOT right-of-way. Again, another nice rendering of what those proposed improvements might look like. The only addition to this I would add is that we are including left turn lanes at the Neptune Avenue intersection. So that's to allow better traffic operations. This is more of the section of interest south of Neptune to north of River Drive, and that really concludes the City of Ormond Beach proper limits. And north of that, we're entering Ormond by the Sea city limits. The current design does include the 10-foot shared use path on the west side and a 6-foot wide sidewalk on the east side. The primary discussion today is the residents' feedback of that 6-foot wide sidewalk where we have the residential section of the project. What we're doing to slow vehicles down in this area is including some vertical deflections, what we would call a raised mid-block crossing, so it's just more of a gentle, for lack of a better term, a gentle speed table with a crosswalk to allow pedestrians to get from the east side to the west side. There are 7 proposed throughout the project limits. For today's discussion, 3 would be affected if we make adjustments to the sidewalk on the east side of A1A, and I'll show you here in just a moment. Same thing for the at-grade crossings. These are just enhanced crosswalks. They're at grade. They're not raised to slow vehicles down. It just provides an opportunity for pedestrians to cross either side of A1A. The proposed crosswalks that are highlighted would be the ones that would be affected if we make adjustments to the sidewalk. We had a public meeting at the Casements on March 22nd, a fairly large turnout, 23 virtual, 61 live attendees, 19 comment entries. The general consensus was strong opposition to a 6-foot sidewalk on the east side within the residential section south of Standish Drive. It was mentioned that the proposed crossings in the residential section have no destination or beach access. That is true. The first beach access is at Neptune Avenue. It was assumed that pedestrians will unsafely cross A1A in locations without a mid-block crossing. So if we place a sidewalk on the east side, it would encourage pedestrians to cross over without having multiple crossings. There was concerns of driveway impacts with construction and pedestrian visibility as residents are backing out of their driveways. They were redundant to have an east sidewalk, but did support the west side shared use path, redundant to have both. They also mentioned that that there was a suggestion to begin the sidewalk on the east side at or north of Standish Drive. So to save some time here, walking through just an aerial view of the proposed design. You can see on the west side in the blue cyan color is the 10-foot wide shared use path. The sidewalk does not begin until about 1,000 feet south of Neptune Avenue. So there's the golf course there on the west. There is no sidewalk on the east side just yet until you get south of Neptune Avenue. So in the blue on the east side is where we can fit the 6-foot wide concrete sidewalk on the east side of A1A. It does not have a logical starting point. It's just simply the first place where we could fit it within the project limits. So if we decided to remove this section of sidewalk on the east side, the proposed crossings would also be removed. You can see highlighted there with a call out that there would be a raised mid-block crossing that would be removed. Again, it does not have a logical destination, was not supported during the public meeting. The first beach access point would be at Neptune Avenue. If I scroll through here, you can see some more of those similar instances where we have a crossing that would be removed if we decided to take that portion of the east sidewalk out of the project. Carrying all the way up to Standish Drive is really the suggested beginning point for any sort of sidewalk on the east side. So for the sake of today's meeting is to get general feedback from the commission of whether we should include a sidewalk on the east side of A1A in this project and what that might look like based on this presentation. The recommendation would be to begin the sidewalk in the more urbanized section at the Standish Drive intersection and carry it north through the rest of the project limits. The design is scheduled to complete at the end of this calendar year. We will be letting early of next year of 2024, and construction is anticipated in spring and summer of 2024. Does anyone have any questions?
Questions, Deputy Mayor Bright?
Just a quick question. What was the reasoning for the pushback on the sidewalk on the east side of the street?
I'll refer, I'll refer back to the slide here. After reading many of the comment forms and discussing with the residents during the public meeting, it's just simply not having pedestrians in front of the homes, concerns of impacting decorative driveways during constructions, concerns of visibility with pedestrians walking through that area as they would back out of their driveway, and the redundancy of having both a sidewalk on the east side and a shared use path on the west side. And lastly, no logical destination for pedestrians on the east side until you get to a major intersection.
When y'all first came to us and showed us this project, I was kind of excited about it because we need pedestrian access and pedestrian facilities along A1A. I think the more the better. I don't like when we see we're considering taking some crossings out. I was just at a conference in Washington, D.C. early part of last week with the National Association of Realtors. And a gentleman spoke to a crowd, probably about 2,500 people in the room from all 50 states. And he had a slideshow. He's with Smart Growth America. And you're always kind of in awe when you're sitting there and you're watching a presentation on a slideshow and your city shows up as number one, but not for a good reason. Dangerous by design, the most deadly metros are trending worse. Number 1, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, Deltona. And I know that a lot of our pedestrian issues that we have are along state roads within Ormond Beach. And when I hear that we're considering removing pedestrian access and pedestrian facilities because it's in front of someone's home, or it might, might disrupt their driveway, I'm not sure if that's worth more than a human life. So that's kind of where I'm on that. I think we should have sidewalks on the east side of the road where possible. I understand in some areas there's not enough DOT right-of-way, but that's just kind of where I'm at on pedestrian safety. Thank you.
Commissioner Persis.
Yeah, I totally concur with Deputy Mayor Briley about the sidewalks on the east side. I think it's a safety issue. In the peak summertime, especially on the weekends, you see people walking on both sides of the road. And it's really, really, because there's no sidewalk over there on the east side in so many places, it's so dangerous. So I definitely think we should have sidewalks there for sure. I mean, we have had so many of our residents talk to us about sidewalks in different areas, especially even on John Anderson, because that's another safety issue that doesn't relate to this, but I definitely think we need to have the sidewalks on the east side as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Sargent.
I do not think we need sidewalks from Granada to Neptune. You have the houses that are too close right there. There's not enough. You have someone backing out of their driveway or pulling out. If someone's riding their bike or something, they're going to get hit or forced into the road. One sidewalk 10 foot long on the west side to me is adequate. And then I don't like the crosswalk that was south of Neptune. I think you invite people to, when you have sidewalks that close to residents, you invite potential issues with people walking too close to the houses, seeing something they might want to take. I think it's just creating an issue that we can prevent. That 10 foot on the west side, I think, is perfect. On the crosswalks, are there going to be flashing lights? I know we discussed, I think, lights in the ground.
Yes, all the crossings will be upgraded with the rectangular rapid flashing beacons. A number of them will be raised. The raised crossings that act as a speed management countermeasure with a vertical deflection will have the in-pavement lighting, so we'll have the flashing lights. That's right.
And I will say that if there was beach access from Neptune to Granada, I could see putting a sidewalk there. But with no beach access, I just don't see the validity of having on there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Tolland.
So we're going to make it really difficult for you because I agree with Commissioner Sargent. I'm a big multimodal path proponent. I think the 12-foot, 10-foot, if you could make it 12-foot, it would be better. But 10-foot proposed pathway is awesome. And when you do mark those, I would love to see some type of bike markings as well for that. I know it's active modal, but if you had a designated section with a bike, you can kind of gear that. I think as far as the east goes, there's no way to get to the beach where all those houses are. I think it's silly to spend our money with the sidewalk on that side. I do understand safety is a problem, but people are not usually walking on that side until they need to go to the beach on the access. So obviously crosswalks to the beach, and my suggestion would be keep it all on the west.
And sure, just to clarify that the crossings that would be removed do not have logical access. There is no beach access, so I'm not in support of either way. It's just what's in the best interest of the city, of the residents, of the project. Just pointing out what can and what cannot be done with this project.
Commissioner Sargent.
And one more, the FPL power poles are real close to the road right there, so I'm sure those would have to be adjusted to get a sidewalk in, and I just, that's just one more reason I don't think they should be in there. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I do want to point out, I don't think many of the east side sidewalks were really proposed until you got pretty much north of Neptune because there's not enough right of way along in there.
Right, it's about 1,000 feet south of Neptune Avenue is where we can first fit it in, so that would be the beginning point of the east side.
I just, I'd see where walkers may not want to be in a multimodal pathway where you have people on maybe, roller skates or bicycles or whatever else. You just get that conflict of, different speed of pedestrian traffic. So to me, I don't have an issue with the sidewalk on the east side of the road as well. The more the merrier.
So is there consensus to start the sidewalks north of Neptune on the east side? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, the consensus was to start it outside of the residential section on the east side, so at Standish Drive, where we have a number of VoTrans stops and some existing boarding and lighting pads that we would tie in those transit facilities into just the more urbanized section of A1A in this area.
Okay. And Deputy Mayor Briley, you were saying you don't agree with that.
Well, I think that, any opportunity you have for pedestrian access, whether it be on the east or west side of the road and there's room, I think it's welcomed in the name of pedestrian safety.
Got it. All right. Do you need anything else from us?
Just so I'm clear, Mr. Mayor, I think the consensus is to not have sidewalks on the east side up to Standish, is that correct?
North of Standish.
North of Standish.
That's correct. It would begin on the northeast quadrant of the Standish Drive intersection at A1A.
So where will there be east sidewalk then?
Beginning right here on this exhibit, so right there on the northeast quadrant of the Standish Drive intersection. It's hard, it's kind of hard to see there. Right. Yeah, the rendering shows sidewalk south of that. That was the exhibit that was taken to the public meeting. We were unable to remove that from the CAD files in advance of this meeting, but the call out there that's highlighted would be the new proposed limits of the begin sidewalk.
One of the observations from the meeting was there was a great change in tone as you went north of Standish versus south of Standish.
Right.
North of Standish, you get into multifamily, you get into more people that were using it. Some of the conversation that was on the south of Standish side wasn't just not my front yard, but not a real not an interest in using that sidewalk as well.
Right.
It was a little bit of was some of the conversation that was held. So this is a big project for us, along with South A1A. This is one of the biggest things we've heard from pedestrians for many years is getting people safely across A1A. So we're thankful that DOT, number one, is doing this project. Having Marcus here this evening is a testament to the way DOT is doing things differently these days. They used to do a project and they would tell you about it after they did it. And now they're involving us. They're involving us in the process, and that's really, what I appreciate is the fact that Marcus is here this evening. Having listened to our residents, giving you all an opportunity to play a role in this as well. So I thank you for your participation, and I thank you, Marcus, for being here.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Mayor, I know at one point there was a DOT study, and Mark, you might be able to help me. I don't know if it was from the shores or from Ponson all the way north to include, I think, Flagler County. And I think what DOT was doing is they were going through their plotting where all of the pedestrian fatalities or pedestrian accidents were. And I think, again, any opportunity we have to safely get folks from one side of A1A to the other, and I think a key component to that is to have a pedestrian facility on both sides of the road where they can get from one side of the road to the other is key, and that's why I I still support, from Neptune north instead of Standish north. But again, when I see those graphics and we're number one as far as one of the deadliest metros in the United States of America, that's kind of concerning with pedestrian traffic or pedestrian fatalities.
So 2 votes for Neptune North, Standish North, and 2 votes for Standish North.
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
I'll say Standish.
Rock, paper, scissors?
Standish North, I mean, I hear what Deputy Mayor Briley's saying. My concern is the safety of pedestrians while people are backing out of their driveways. And it is narrow road areas there. It's hard for people to get out onto A1A as it is. Hopefully, the plan for this is to calm traffic in that area somewhat.
That's correct, and we're working with central office in Tallahassee to, if we do remove some of those crossings that have the vertical deflection element, the enhanced speed table, if you will, we'd still like to have that remain in the project, so to encourage the slower speeds on A1A. The ones in the beginning that don't have a logical terminus, it just across you got to kind of think of what someone will actually do. Are they going to cross a two-lane facility when they get the chance, or are they going to walk a couple hundred feet north or south to get to the crosswalk? So it's a battle between what an average pedestrian will do and safety, and it's tough. It's a tough balance. Yeah.
Commissioner Sargent.
I could understand having them on the east side if maybe there was like a parking lot on the west side they were crossing over to get to the beach and walk down, but there's no reason for it that I can see.
Right, that one in particular would be one of the raised mid-block crossings, so that would, it's intended to slow the vehicles down. So we would still examine that opportunity to have that vertical deflection to keep the speeds down. Again, we're coordinating with Tallahassee to allow that to happen within a 35-mile-per-hour roadway, because that's what we're intending to reduce the speed limit in this section too.
Commissioner Briley, I know you're concerned about the safety, and we all are. But I also, and I hate to be mentioned in public reports that we are an unsafe community, but I also question where are those accidents? Is it along A1A? I mean, do they have those numbers? Do you look at those crashes, fatalities along that section? Is that something we should be aware of that we're not taking into consideration?
Typically, the engineer record will pull those crash reports. They'll review a lot of the hot spots and try to consolidate crossings as needed to make it as safe as possible. I know the DOT has taken an initiative to light a lot of the crossings to make sure that the pedestrians are illuminated. It's taking a statewide initiative to enhance pedestrian safety at mid-block crossings and intersection crossings.
Yeah, I attended the workshops when they started that back in probably about 2014, 2015.
But I'm just saying, on that section that we're discussing right now, has that been one of the problem areas? Because that's what we're addressing, is the sidewalk on that east side for that short section. Is that a problem area?
Sure, and I'd hate to commit to a response without having the actual data.
Right.
I think there's been one motorcycle that hit a pole right there by Ron Rice's house. That was
There have been some pedestrian fatalities in that area.
I know of one up by Bicentennial Park, but that's outside the
Right,
That's
outside
of
the
the discussion. That's right.
But I think there might have been one at either Amston or Neptune, or maybe both, so. Within the last 5 or 6 years.
Need anything else, Sean? Joyce?
Or yeah, I would like to say, thanks for everything y'all are doing, because I know this isn't the only project you're looking at. You're looking at Granada Boulevard. I know you're looking at Nova Road as well, and US 1, and those are, the areas we've had, especially Nova Road, we've had some real problems there, so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Reports, suggestions, and requests, and we start with City Manager Joyce Shanahan.
I only have 5 pages, no, I'm just kidding. Just a couple of things, I'll be brief. Staff is looking for a shade meeting to discuss our progress with our collective bargaining, and I'm wondering if you all would be available on May 30th at 5:30?
I am.
Yep.
2 weeks from today.
Yes.
Commissioner Talon is.
Commissioner Sargent is.
I'm
Okay.
good.
All right, so we have to coordinate that with our labor attorney and pension attorney, and so we'll get back to you on that. I I just want to do a brief shout out to our 2023 Police Unity Tour participants. I'd like to congratulate Police Corporal Brett Summerlot, Officer Rafael Medina, and Chief Godfrey for completing the Police Unity Tour. It's a 250-mile bike ride from Portsmouth, Virginia to Washington, D.C. that takes place in May of each year and is dedicated to raising awareness about police officers killed in the line of duty and supporting the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Museum, which honors more than 26,000 men and women, according to a news release. I know some of you were in D.C. to welcome our Ormond Beach officers, and we're very thankful for that. I'm hoping that their legs are getting back to normal about now, but it just demonstrates their dedication and devotion for remembering their fallen compatriots, and we really appreciate that. Public Works is celebrating Reuse Water Week with St. John's River Water Management District. Look for some special daily social media posts. That's one of Jen's favorite things to promote. Memorial Day Remembrance, that's Monday, May 30th at 9 a.m. at Rockefeller Garden. It's always a wonderful event, as solemn as it is. It's really a great opportunity. Movie on the Halifax, Friday, June 2nd is Air Bud. I think it's a dog. Is it a dog? And then sea turtle nesting in Volusia County. There'll be a presentation on June 2nd at 2 p.m. at Environmental Discovery Center. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions for Joyce? Thank you.
And just from a clean getaway. Thank you.
Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley.
No comments. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. And City Attorney Randy Hayes.
No, sir. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Tonight, we start with Deputy Mayor Briley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to say it was a pleasure, even though I was spent the last 2 or 3 days sick in Washington, D.C., but there for our Police Unity Tour, and got to at least attend the candlelight vigil, or part of it, with our chief and our officers and our commissioners that were there. And I just want to say how touching that was, especially to hear some of the, I think Chief was about 538 names that were read from officers all over the nation who have lost their lives in the line of duty, given the ultimate price, serving our communities. And I will tell you this, I did run into a couple of officers from other states, and I told them I was there, and they asked me what department I was with, and I said, well, I'm with the City of Ormond Beach. And they thought it was really, really neat that our city commissioners were there to support our officers. They said that they almost feel like they have to send an invitation to their city council to meet their police department, because there's that much disconnect between the police department and their city. So that was very nice to hear that they appreciate. They think that it's very nice for, they appreciate us being there, even though we weren't from their city. Something that Commissioner Holland speaks about often is mental health, mental wellness. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And while we're in DC, I'm sure, I know Commissioner Partington and I, or Mayor Partington and I came across it, as well as maybe some of the other commissioners. Of course, DC is a big city, and there's quite a few people there who are homeless. And I think a lot of their issues stem from mental health issues. And when I got back to town Sunday, I took my wife to dinner for Mother's Day, and we're not immune from it here in Ormond Beach, and we witnessed that as well Sunday night. So I guess my thought is, I think one area we struggle with, not only as a community, but more so as a state and a country, is we don't fund mental health like we should. And I don't know if this commission, I know it's a lot for us to try to tackle, but it has to start somewhere. And whether we send a letter to the county, to to encourage them, send a letter to the state to encourage them and our federal officials, but some sort of funding in mental health, I think needs to be done. I think there needs to be more awareness, because it's not just the homeless folks you see out there. I mean, mental health, there's a lot of other issues that come along with that, so. Tomorrow night, we have the proclamation for Mr. Walter Bailey, who was the band director at Ormond Beach Junior High School and Ormond Beach Middle School from 1966 to 1996 at Sea Breeze High School. I'll be there to, in the mayor's absence, to give a proclamation. I actually had Mr. Bailey about 37 years ago as a band director, so that'll be kind of a nice personal touch. We also have our Public Works proclamation next week, so I look forward to that. Our Public Works folks are very much an integral part to this city, and I look forward to that. Monday morning, I'll be with the Kiwanis Club doing the reading at Ormond Beach Elementary School, so I'm glad to see them doing that. Takes me back to my old alumni elementary school, so that'll be neat. And then the last thing I have is, I had spoken before, and we discussed it a little bit in the strategic planning, but I didn't know if there was any interest on the commission to further discuss starting a Citizens Academy within the city of Ormond Beach. I know Port Orange has one. It's wildly popular. It's free to their citizens to sign up. It's different than Leadership Ormond in as much as they look more at the internal workings and the processes of the city departments. I think in some ways it would be a very good program to better educate or help educate our residents that may not know or understand the process of how they get to the commission. They have to go through different departments. Just the whole process.
I think that's a great idea. I would love to entertain that discussion. That they're our best resource, our children.
Well, but it's also it's not just for children, but it's also for adults, right? Yeah.
Well, for us
just
as
for every,
well, obviously.
Exactly. And with that, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have. I don't want to take up too much time. Thank you.
Thank you. And I hear Commissioner Sargent saying yes, he would like to explore that. And I think Commissioner Persis as well. So Joyce, if you can bring something back to us on that. I know the police used to do a Citizens Police Academy, but this would be more expansive.
We've looked at that for a long time. We just haven't had the staff resources to dedicate to that. And I'm more familiar with the program that targets, not children, but adults, 18 and older.
Commissioner Tolland.
Should we take a bathroom break first?
So, bigger font, just 1.5 pages, just saying. I have a couple reports. Main Street, I met with Main Street last night, and I just want to let the commission know they did officially receive their accreditation as a I don't know the official title, and I apologize to the Main Street organization, but it's a very prestigious award, and they did receive that accreditation, and we should be very proud of that. They are working on an historic Main Street survey right now. There was discussion, a lively discussion on the economic impact of the Celtic Festival of Ormond Beach, and how many touches they had on media and how big it's growing, and they were very pleased with that. And they said in the future that they still would like to discuss the 24-hour docking at Casson Park. So that's my report for Main Street. Does anybody have any questions with that? Okay. The next thing I told you I wanted to report back to you all was the meeting I had with the Grow the Loop group, and that was held last week. It was held over in Volusia County Commission Room. I don't know the title. Anyway, over there in DeLand, it was moderated by Troy Kent. I will tell you, it was probably the most invigorating, exciting meeting I've had in a long time, because there were some really smart, passionate folks all in the same room. And the Audubon Society, the Native Plant Society people, a developer, Mr. Alan Burton, the UF Institute of Food and Agriculture Science rep, Clay Irvin, Dr. Burball, Pat Cohn with Plants for Birds, Joe Janes from Orman, you all know, FDOT byway person, Ms. Adair with the Tree Fund, and I think that's in Volusia County, and Nancy Galdo was pretty much the moderator of it, and she's with the Orman Scenic Loop and Trail. So you can, and Melissa Lambers with the Audubon Society. So you can imagine, all the collaboration that was going on in that meeting. There was a slide presentation. There was talk about a pledge, an online pledge for residents. They talked about how if you pledge to do certain things, you would get some kind of an award, some sticker. So it's definitely and there'll be a collaborative effort to remove invasives and create good plant, bad plant lists. So for anybody that wants to improve their landscape, they'll have that availability. There's an education component already. There's some seminars being scheduled in the Ormond Beach Library. Stakeholders were identified, and it also will provide resources to property owners. Fun fact, Florida has 26 identified scenic highways, 11 are in Central Florida, and 3 run through Volusia County, including Ormond Beach. So, although this is a Volusia County pilot program, we can't forget that we are in Volusia County, and most of this pilot program is in Ormond Beach. So, I would like, this program will just have a positive effect for all the residents in Ormond and our surrounding residents. So I am asking you all, are you willing to learn more about this project? And then I'm going to ask Randy, how do we go about learning more as a commission? Do we need a workshop for it? Do they come over and provide, the slides? And so I'm going to ask you that, Bill, to ask the commission in a moment. As a side note, Clay Irvin informed me that, and this is for you, Stephen, that Volusia County is revisiting their landscape ordinances, and I know I've talked about the native plant ordinances. He's willing to contact you and update you regarding what they're doing regarding native plant materials in municipal landscape. And as another side note, I did give staff a list of the native ground covers that can be used for mulch in the future, and that was provided to me by the pawpaw. So what do you all think? Is this something we want to learn more about? And I'm hoping embrace? Are you guys going to look at me with blank faces?
I would be interested in learning more about the program, what it entails, and how we can participate.
I concur.
Just to know a little more before we make any decision.
And I can guarantee you it's at no expense to any resident. It's really more of an education type thing. So,
I would just ask, maybe instead of a separate workshop, that we just do a 10 or 15-minute discussion item at the end of a meeting, something like that.
and then would you like me to have all the slides or a presenter at that workshop? I think
if
that
we
would
could
be
keep it under 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And coordinate
like
that
a
with
slideshow.
Joyce can get all that together.
So we could keep it within the timeline that's
Perfect.
identified.
There was a very succinct slideshow that was less than 15 minutes that kind of outlined what their goals are. And I think that would probably be the easiest thing. I would love to have a person there for questions, though, if you all would agree to that. So I'll let you, Joyce, talk and figure it out. No mulch. And let's see. Thank you for allowing me to, all citizens allowing me to attend the Police Unity Tour. It was very moving. honoring our fallen, and I do want to acknowledge Chief Godfrey, Corporal Red Summerlot, Officer Rafael Medina. I appreciate all their effort, and I appreciate their tired legs representing Ormond Beach and honoring all of those who served our community. So thank you all very much, and good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Sargent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Joyce, if we can look into those issues that the residents showed up and questioned at the beginning of the meeting, I can email you if you need to about Melrose, Wilmette, and address. I think we've addressed some of them.
We have addressed some of them, and I know Sean is working with some of them, and we have a public process to do all of that. I know he's met with them, but we'll remind them of that process.
Got it. And then, yes, thank you to the citizens for allowing me to attend the police unity tour. I was able to take my family up there. It was great to see the chief and Corporal Summerlot and Officer Medina finish the race. I hope your legs are feeling better by now. It was Saturday. The evening vigil was very touching, and I was able to have my oldest son with me and to explain to him what was going on. And it was getting kind of chilly. He had shorts on and was getting bit by mosquitoes, but he refused to leave. He said, "No, I'm here to stay." So that was good. We truly do, Ormond Beach truly does have the best officers who are dedicated and show up when duty calls. And I just would like to publicly say thank you to all the men and women in the police department. And with that, I will say good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Persis.
Good evening, everyone. I just have a couple of comments. First of all, I think all of us except the mayor couldn't come. We all attended the Law Enforcement Memorial Bike Tour that stopped here to honor our fallen officer, Bob Grimm, and that was just an amazing experience to see all these people, these police officers from all over the United States come and stop here and honor him. It was very touching. Also, we all attended the national, I think Deputy Mayor Briley couldn't attend. You had a prior commitment, but we attended the National Night of Prayer at Calvary Christian Center. And I just want to compliment Mayor Partington for giving you give a very nice prayer, and you represented our city very well. It was awesome. And finally, I'd just like to give a shout out to Joyce Shanahan and Stephen Spraker. I know neither of you like attention at all, but you all really do so much for the city, and I just want to personally thank you for everything you do. So thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Commissioner. And with that, you guys did a good job covering everything. We are adjourned.